The only thing better than watching football is talking about it. So we invented Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
The Fan. Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
Oh, baby, let's do it live on a Reaction Monday edition of the program. I'm your Uncle Bo. The great Tim May is here. The great Bake is here over the next 3. It's fortuitous that Tim is here because we had ourselves a pretty newsy weekend on the Buckeye football side of things. Austin Ward will join at 10:30, which is customary. We'll blitz the weekend coming up at 11 o'clock. Buckeyes lose at Illinois in a game, boy, for a long time. It felt like they would have it on Saturday afternoon. A truly one-of-a-kind NBA trade that I don't have a whole lot of precedent for, so we'll get into that. The Marchenko injury, we saw the Porty reporting on the broken jaw. We will get into that as well. That would obviously be a massive blow for the Blue Jackets and their efforts over the next several weeks. And, of course, it is Super Bowl week. But on a day that is our first chance to react to Ohio State and essentially Ryan Day having a lot of job to do this week, we start here. Tim, I made this statement last week in regard to, this was coming off of the Jim Knowles taking the job at Penn State. It was coming off of the reporting that Justin Fry had interviewed for the Bears job. Mm-hmm. And I said, coaching in major college football right now is the best, worst job in sports. You still have the best part of it. Like, there's a lot of glory, there's a lot of fun, you're talking ball, you're coaching ball, you're compensated richly. All of those things are really tough to beat. But in the sports lexicon and in the sports world, it's also the worst because there are, and I know you've talked to guys too, you're talking about guys who coach in major college football right now having less than 7 days off a year. Yeah. That's true. There are no true days off. It is a 24/7 up at dawn siege to recruit, to re-recruit your roster, to make sure they're happy with NIL. And then even when you do those things, there are no certainties that all of the work that you put in will pay off because that player can leave at any given time. And I've talked to several people, NFL circles, college football circles, and I said this last week on the show. If you are a college football coach and you have an NFL option, you take it. And that's kind of where we are. We saw this with Hafley a couple of years ago at Boston College. We saw it with Chip Kelly over the weekend. We saw it with Justin Fry. Let's just start, and there's a lot of layers of this onion that we got to get through here, my friend, but let's just start with the climate around this occupation at the moment and the difficulty it is to do this job. And I think what will be just the start of a mass exodus. If you have options, you're gone.
Yeah, but that keeps you from being a mass exodus because once you get to wherever it is you're going, you want to stay there. You know, I'm talking about, for example, the National Football League. I mean, that would be the dream. It's the dream of, I think, any coach when they get into the profession for the most part is to ultimately coach at the highest level. And so you can't stand in their way. I mean, Ryan Day has made that point many times, you know, over the last many years. You're not going to stand in a coach's way to in essence, get to where he wants to get to. Now, you know, in the Jim Knowles case, Jim Knowles was clearly looking to at least parlay on, you know, how this season went down, but really how the last 3 years have built up to a crescendo. And like we talked about on your show last week, I mean, the way I understood it, he was looking to make a move. He had his agent making some calls, and he wanted to be, you know, I mean, for want of another term, he wanted to be the highest paid defensive coordinator out there if he could be or close to it. And then all of a sudden, you know, Tom Allen goes to Clemson and there's an opening at his, he grew up in Pennsylvania. Who knew Penn State was his dream school, right? But if you looked at it, yeah, it was. And
sure.
And so all the stars came together, and you can't hold it against a guy for making a move like this. We all know that at this time a year ago, actually a little bit earlier than this, actually, Chip Kelly was trying to get to the National Football League as an offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. That's why he wasn't already at Ohio State, because he and Ryan Day tried to make that happen. The way I understand it, in December when Chip was like kind of laying his cards out there on the table. And we all know the serendipity that went along with Jeff Hafley getting tired of the college scene, as you're just pointing out. I mean, the poster child really for what you're talking about is, boy, if the NIL isn't there and the transfer portal is wreaking havoc, why put up with this anymore? He went back to the National Football League.
Yep.
And creates an opening for Bill O'Brien, who had just been hired by Ohio State by Ryan Day to kind of put a little more verve into the Ohio State running game, but mainly to call plays and be the offensive coordinator. I mean, we're talking about serendipity here that put Chip Kelly in that chair in February. I mean, it was really funny during the not funny, ha-ha necessarily, but during the run through the college football playoffs is how some people who hadn't really covered Ohio State over the last year and were being introduced to them were talking about, how when Will Howard came to Ohio State, what was it like, getting to work with Chip Kelly? And as Will Howard pointed out, he was here a month and a half before Chip Kelly was.
Yeah.
So but the point is, like you just pointed out, it's fluid, but the higher you are on the food chain, I think still the better you are. I mean, look at Nick Saban, Bo. How many assistant coaches did he resurrect or go through?
Yes.
Or, I mean, he wanted that pollen coming in, you know what I mean, as often as he could get it. With everybody keeping in mind, it's the Alabama system, not the Steve Sarkisian system or the Lane Kiffin system. It's Alabama. You come in and you enhance it. That's what Ryan Day is looking for. I'm sure, because of conversations I've had with him in the past, but you're always looking to, in these moments, you're looking to enhance your system, not just get by.
It's there's a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of layers here in terms of what needs to happen next. We'll get into that. Offensive, offensive line coach. What are we looking for? Is he looking for a play caller? Is he looking for someone to give the key, someone who he trusts implicitly? Because as we're going to talk about at 9:17, he trusted Chip absolutely, and I think that allowed for some of the stuff he was able to do after the Oregon game, and some of the ways he's been able to handle the program. I'll be honest with you. In this college football, Tim, I don't know how many coaches are going to be able to do it the way Ryan used to do it, and the way that Lincoln Riley still does it, with maybe not the success he used to have at Oklahoma, the way Lane Kiffin does it, the way Sark does it, where you're trying to call plays. Buddy, I explained this to the audience last week. Like, you guys got to understand, Ohio State won the national championship on a Monday. By Wednesday, they're recruiting.
Right.
And by Thursday, they're trying to keep guys on their own roster. They're trying to fend off Oregon for Carnell Tate. I mean, this is what's happening, and this is the sport right now. So there's no downtime, and it's unfortunately the adults in the room allowed for it to get to this point where it truly is as lawless as possibly can be. And the reality is there was a time, and you probably would maybe agree with me on this, maybe you don't. There's a time 15 years ago where I would have said, if you are big-time coach in college football or even big-time coordinator in college football, not only is it, in many instances, financially more lucrative to stay in college, but it's also the better job because you get to go shop for your own groceries, right? That's the Saban back at Alabama thing.
Yes.
Like in the NFL, he didn't get to pick. He didn't go get to outwork people for his quarterback.
Right.
At Alabama and LSU, he did. But that's gone now. So much of that is gone now because there was a power you had coaching college football a decade ago, even 5-7 years ago, that you don't have anymore.
Right.
And so I think you will see much, much more of this to come. And I think
it's evolving.
It is, absolutely. And there's got to be some guardrails and parameters on this. Otherwise, I think what you're just going to have is an entirely fluid sport. Now, we're going to get to some of that coming up at 10 o'clock. We're going to get the Chip Kelly side of this coming up next, my friend. And the idea of, was there always a chance that this was going to be the way that this was going to go at Ohio State with Chip Kelly? And furthermore, where does Ryan need to go and look, not just now at offensive line, but offensive coordinator. That's coming up next. We're off and running on a Monday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the doorknob fart game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Hi, I'm Joanna Williams, General Manager at Tansky Sawmill Toyota. Is it time for a new or used car? Visit Tansky Sawmill Toyota on the corner of Sawmill and 161, home of the Tansky Promise, where our salespeople aren't paid on commission. We have a 72-hour exchange policy, and every transaction is upfront and transparent. You can even start the process at home. Visit TanskySawmillToyota.com to start your purchase today and to see all of this month's specials. And when you think Toyota, think Tansky.
Get it right with help from Right Rug Flooring. Thousands of styles are in stock and ready for next day expert installation. Like carpet starting at $219 a square foot installed with pad. And luxury vinyl starts at only $399 a square foot installed. Unmatched value with 24-month financing available. Visit a showroom or schedule a free in-home estimate today. Get it right with Right Rug Flooring. Your beautiful new floor is right here, right now.
Get ready to make the big game even bigger at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. With 2 massive jumbotrons, over 50 feet of screen, and more than 30 TVs, you won't miss a single play, touchdown, or highlight. Fuel your game with mouthwatering food and bucket specials. Plus, warm up with our pregame cornhole toss for your chance to win big before kickoff. Reserve your table now for the best seat in the house. Visit HollywoodColumbus.com for more details. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Guess what? Our ugly faces are on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan and watch all your favorite shows. Laptop, phone, tablet, smart TV, we're everywhere. Bring us in the bedroom with you. Yes, The Fan.
February is Children's Dental Health Month, so make sure you make an appointment for your child to visit an Ohio Dental Association member dentist. ODA member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and have access to superior ongoing education and training. On your next visit, ask if your child's dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit ODA.org. We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Fan and weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are dealing with some dense fog out there this morning. Visibility is being reported under a half mile. Today, though, it will be warm. We're going 61 degrees for the high temperature in the metro area. A brief shower is possible later on this evening. Tonight's low 33, partly cloudy tomorrow, high 41. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
News, opinions, and insight all before breakfast. Rise and shine with Morning Juice.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Our top men are working on everything except this show.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And the top man on this fine Reaction Monday, Bake is here, and the great Tim May is here as well. All right, buddy. When you hire, and you astutely point out in the first segment that Chip was trying to get an NFL gig last year, and that led to kind of the way that it went with the original hiring of Bill O'Brien. And then when did Chip get here? Like middle of February?
Yes.
Is that kind of when it was? Yeah.
Yes.
There was probably the thought in the back of Ryan Day's head that he was not long for this world in any way, that if an NFL opportunity came about, he would certainly be into it. I had buddies of mine down in Houston contacting me over the middle of last week saying, do you think any chance Chip would come to Houston? Who knows what he interviewed for, who he talked to about the job. In the end, it ends up being the Raiders. It's reportedly $6 million a year. So there's no precedent for that in the NFL from a coordinator standpoint. Like that, they've never done that before. Coordinators typically, historically in college, made more than they did in the pros. So that's a big, big number for Chip to be the offensive coordinator in Las Vegas. What do you make of his time here? And do you think that it was always going to be and understood that this would be a one-year rental for Chip at Ohio State?
I don't know about 1 year rental, but it was going to be a rental. I mean, I think Bobby Carpenter pointed out in an earlier show that he thinks he bought his house here, didn't rent it. So, those are always indicators. But then again, look at the Columbus housing market. That's an investment, not a purchase. And, you knew, here's the thing, you knew that Ryan Day wasn't going to stand in his way. His mentor, I call him his uncle almost, when you really think about things. But he needed somebody, and his uncle was there. Chip Kelly was there for him when he needed him most. And let's face it, he needed him most, right? I mean, the way things played out. And here's the other thing. After the Michigan game, where was Chip Kelly on anybody's list? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, in terms of fervor, got to have this guy, and then of course the playoff run changed the fortunes for so many people involved in the Ohio State football program. But the bottom line, he was always going to be. I always figured he was not here for long. That's the way I looked at it. Make the most of it while he was around, because he was going to because you knew he was going to be successful. At least I felt that way, knowing about him for 2 decades now. He was going to gain the attraction of somebody. This time a year ago, he couldn't. No one was interested in the National Football League of taking him on, and now. They are, and you got to strike while the iron is hot. And so, and I think Ryan understood that this, whether it's a stepping stone or whatever you want to call it, a bridge was more like it back to where he wanted to go. He wants to coach offensive football at the highest level. And I'm not sure the Raiders are the highest level. There's a joke there. But
no quarterback.
But no quarterback. Yeah. Other than that, you sit for socks and underwear. Yeah.
It's a great place to live.
Exactly. So yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, I think any coach worth his salt aspires to coach at the highest level eventually in some form or fashion. So, yeah, this was inevitable in some sense.
Yeah, and I think it's when Bill left and you started to get whispers that Chip was the apple of the eye. You said, wait a second, hold on. Like one of the most innovative offensive minds of the last 25 years is going to become available. I know you remember this. Remember Urban go out there and study him with the tempo that he played with and all of that. I mean, that was a huge part of kind of what Urban built here. Was
his sabbatical year of 2011 is what I called it.
Yeah. And so he was there. He was such an innovator in the sport. Chip was, with the pace they played that at Oregon, and he took that program that Mike Bellotti built truly built, and with the help of Phil Knight and all of that stuff to build to what it was. But then Chip took it to another level,
right?
Like offensive, it was just another level. They went from like cute little story in the Pacific Northwest to, oh my God, this team, they might be able to win a national championship.
If they get some big offensive linemen, look
absolutely,
out. Exactly.
Absolutely. But even at Lanning's kind of brought that there finally.
Yes.
But Chip, he found another way. Like, we're going to play with tempo. I can't get the guys on the line of scrimmage, so I'm going to play with tempo. And he got to a national championship game against Auburn and lost, and then his remnants with Helfrich against Ohio State in 2015. But from the perspective of when it became possible, not just from an acumen standpoint, but trust. You go, wait a second, this is a guy that Ryan Day learned football from, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's now on your staff. So you knew this was going to be an all or nothing proposition for Ryan Day in 2024 with Ohio State. And so now all of a sudden he's got someone he trusts probably as much as anyone aside from his wife who's on his staff. That allows for you to have great freedom to bounce around and put out fires. And in college football in 2024, 2025, fires are popping up every 2 feet.
Oh, yeah.
So it allows him to do that. We'll never know. There's no way to know. This is one of my hypotheticals, as you call it.
Yes.
I don't know if you win a national title without that relationship with Chip and Ryan. We'll never know, but I think it was a big factor in getting over what happened at the end of the season and the run was the fact that he had someone to lean on, who he trusted absolutely as his right-hand man.
Yeah, and vice versa. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, that means so much, and you don't just create that in a lab. I mean, it actually has to happen, and it was right place, right time, as it turned out for all involved. But you're right. I mean, here's the thing. You can't go into this now thinking that's got to be that you've got to find that kind of relationship. But you can't find a relationship. For example, I mean, Kevin Wilson, he was probably the biggest fan of Ohio State over the last month and a half of anybody after getting fired at Tulsa.
Yeah.
A 2-year experiment that didn't work for either party, really. But, I mean, there's a guy you could go immediately back to right now, I would think, and lure him back into being an offensive coordinator. An offensive coordinator, by the way, with an offensive line-minded approach to things. I mean, when you look at what you're replacing here on the staff, you're replacing the quarterback coach, which was Chip Kelly, and the offensive line coach. So there are ways they can go here that make sense without having to find coins in the couch, to pay somebody. I mean, the little extra bit. And so I would expect Ryan to set back, because here's the thing, Bo. I know Ryan's not going to say this out loud because he's a driven dude, but they just won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
There's house money there in terms of equity now that Ryan didn't have on November the 30th. Yeah. And so, anybody can understand this is going to be, when you look at all the players who have left and now the three, I mean, there probably aren't three more important coaches on your staff than your defensive coordinator, your offensive coordinator, and your offensive line coach. Because, man, if you get the right offensive line coach going and they can maintain what they had going through the playoffs, and I'm talking about through the playoffs, that's as good as hiring a decent defensive coordinator, because you keep the ball away from the other team.
Yeah.
But the point is, those are the three, in my opinion. I've always thought of those as the three most important assistant coaches a head coach will ever hire.
There's no doubt. And as you alluded to, they're going to have to hire three of them.
Yes.
All of those positions have to be hired. I think Chip's legacy here is going to be one that is most especially remembered by Ryan. It is those two guys like coming together for 1 year and then doing it and winning the national title. Like that, those two are going to be able to think about that for the rest of their lives. And that's just kind of the cherry on top of that relationship that'll last forever. I'll tell you this, and we're going to get into like some of the candidates, and you mentioned Kevin. will handle the offensive line stuff too, with Justin Fry taking the job with Arizona. Like that's something that when he interviewed with Chicago, he said, okay, well, it's a matter of time. Like clearly he's had enough of this too, and I get it. This is the most power Ryan Day has ever had as the Ohio State head coach.
Yeah.
This staff,
amazing.
It is, which is crazy.
Phoenix.
Yes, absolutely. This staff, whatever it is, whatever he does at D coordinator, O coordinator, offensive line, he has the most power he's ever had to shape this the way that he wants. And the other thing to remember about this, and I alluded to this a couple of times in December, even November, I'm not certain that if an NFL thing went Ryan's way in December, he wouldn't have jumped. And I think that's the case for most of these guys going forward, that if you get a call and you don't have to deal with all of this, you're going to listen. And you're right. For some of them it is, we want to coach at the highest level. For some of them it is, this is a mess.
Yeah.
We don't have lives.
Right.
And the money's work. It's the Don Draper line, right? That's what the money's for?
Yes.
And the money's nice. But, boy, once you've made the money, it'd be nice to have 2 weeks off in the summer.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, dude, there's got to be some kind of union coming eventually, for college, for at least college assistant coaches, you know what I mean? The head coach, I mean, you're getting paid $8, $10, $12 million a year. You know, nobody has any sympathy for you about not having a day off. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. And, you got to have some kind of life, and you're exactly right. I mean, but those jobs, even at the NFL level, are few and far between, man. And
they are.
When you get there, you try to stay in that system. It's like a washing machine, you know. You just try to keep going from one to the other and get your pensions taken care of, squared away, and boom, you're set. And
the people don't realize that enough about how the NFL works.
I know.
How the recycled nature of it. Just keep working. Like, that's a part of it. Go ahead, Vic.
I was going to say, you talk about the money and it being nice, and it is, but it's reported that Chip's getting $6 million to be the offensive coordinator. That's double, you know, what the highest coordinators are getting in college football.
Vic, I mentioned
that's what
that
he was
earlier.
talking about.
That's what I mentioned earlier. Like, NFL didn't used to do that.
No.
Like, college coordinators made more than NFL coordinators. So this is to double Chip.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They don't do that for coordinators ever, because they got to be playing. Pete Carroll's got to be making 15.
Yeah, I mean,
so you've got 21 million. I mean, they never did that in the NFL.
Yes,
that's not
exactly.
the way it works.
I mean, this is the NFL. Just like with player salaries, when Tom Kuzno went to the Canadian Football League because he got more money for being their first pick than the NFL, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things they change, but when they change dramatically monetarily in the National Football League.
All right, where could Ryan Day go at offensive coordinator? Where could he go at defensive coordinator? What could he do on the offensive line? We will tackle all of those things. Plus, in a fortuitous bounce, Ryan Day was actually on Joel Klatt's podcast as this story broke. So you're going to get reaction from Ryan from Klatt's podcast about losing Chip Kelly. That's in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text GRIT to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text GRIT to 42424. That's GRIT to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals with savings beyond low prices. Like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Now's a great time to save on fresh Heritage Farm boneless chicken breasts. They're on sale for just $2.49 a pound with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place.
When you bring Pella Columbus to your home, you get local, personal attention from an award-winning window and door crew.
Yep. Our crew is full of award winners, too.
Well, that's great, Wilson.
Yeah. Jerry alone has won the hot dog eating competition 2 years straight at the company picnic.
Well, that's not really the type of award I was talking about.
Still counts as an award.
Get the window that Columbus homeowners rate the leading and most trusted at PellaColumbus.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Reaction Monday edition of the program. We are going to need new offensive coordinators, new defensive coordinators, new offensive line coach at Ohio State. Ryan Day was actually scheduled to be on the Joel Klatt podcast at the time when this story broke, and so sometimes lucky works. Here's Ryan Day on Joel Klatt talking about losing Chip Kelly.
What did it mean for you, to have him with you to reach the mountaintop? Because you guys go way back, and everyone has talked about it. We talked about it for a long time. He was your coach. You guys have known each other all the way back, to when you were a youngster. What did it mean to you to do this with him?
That was great. It was great. And, we talked about it, the fact that, we had a really good group here, and the dream would be to win a national championship. And then, he decides whether he wants to stay or have an opportunity to go to the NFL. And it's exactly what happened. And, just to be able to, have a beer in a few years, and talk about the year that we had together is going to be special because we all started together. And this is why I started with him. And we went and did that. And what a great story. And I know so many people back home in New Hampshire are just excited for him and for the story. It's pretty special.
So the story is going to be pretty special, but now the task of now what? Tim May with me today on the program. We got a lot of work here. Ryan Day's got a lot of work here. Let's start offensive coordinator. You mentioned Kevin Wilson. That kind of seems like the no-brainer. There's a great familiarity there. Obviously, there's a history in the offensive line. And people got to remember, Kevin made his bones as one of the more prolific offensive coordinators at Oklahoma under Bob Stoops on those staffs. And
yes,
they were extraordinary. The trust factor would be there, too. Is that the first call for Ryan, Tim? And is it a situation where does that, in a way, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone? And then you'd have to find quarterback coach, I suppose, if you went O-line coach, coordinator. Can you do both? Can Kevin be the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator?
I remember back when John Cooper first showed up, he brought Jim Coletto with him, and Jim Coletto was the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator, play caller. And, the thing about John Cooper's first 3 years at Ohio State was the offense was not the problem. You know what I mean? It was defense. And that was back when you were a little boy, Bo, back those days. But
slightly younger, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of combinations that can work. My personal preference would be to have the offensive coordinator work with the quarterbacks just because I think that works best. And when we saw Chip Kelly and Will Howard become almost as one in the playoffs, it was a beautiful thing to behold. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, the words are coming out of Chip Kelly's mouth and going right into Will Howard's brain and him understanding it incredibly of what Chip not only had called, but what he was trying to get done on that particular play, if you follow my drift. So I think that symmetry is there. But, it depends on what Ryan, and maybe we'll get to talk to him this week, obviously, but maybe we can delve into what he's actually looking for now, because like I said, I used to use this analogy, pollen. You want pollen coming in, you know what I mean? Meaning sure. In some form or fashion to maybe get things headed maybe a slightly different direction from whenever you have these opportunities. And, that's like the last time, almost a year ago, I mean, one of the guys on his list we believed was Jason Kendall, the head coach at Toledo. That guy, if you watch Toledo play football, man, there are a lot of creative things going on there, and
sure.
a lot of anticipation of what's coming defensively and taking advantage of it offensively. You saw Chip Kelly do that. I mean, Chip Kelly, in my opinion, was in his wheelhouse in the playoffs with the way he called people on the flip-flop. I'm talking about defenses, and kind of kept them there for a while. It had to be fun to be him during those times. So, there's a guy that I would think if they were looking outside the building of someone who hadn't been in the building for a while,
Sure.
that would be, for example, the way I would look. But we're talking about, Jason Candle, they can probably offer him more money than he's making at Toledo as the head coach anyway. So
for sure, yeah. And I think the other thing for that I'll be curious about, and when you alluded to talking to Ryan middle of the week, that's National Signing Day. It's not what it used to be, but they still have one, and so I miss the old days. By the way, I liked it having it in February and everything kind of happening at once. But what I'm curious about is, and maybe we'll get this answer on Wednesday. Is Ryan to the point now where he does not want to go back to calling plays? Is this the job now where he's got his hands in enough? And did he enjoy a season of not calling plays?
I told him to his face.
But did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I told him to his face that I very much enjoyed watching him mature as a head coach over the last 12 months, because he clearly did. Like you said, he had someone in the offensive coordinator's room, or last 11 months, because that's when, almost 12. He had someone in the offensive coordinator's room he expressly trusted. He had somebody at defensive coordinator that he trusted. He watched Jim Knowles modify the defense he brought with him from Oklahoma State, modify it to fit the talent on hand over the 3 years. And did they have a meeting of the minds after the Oregon game? Absolutely, they did. That's the head coach's prerogative, is to step in whenever possible. They, like we talked about on your show last week, or that didn't drive Jim Knowles away. Jim Knowles is a soldier more than anything else, and so that was a fun relationship to watch blossom. And we all we saw the last 6 and 4 is 10. The last 10 games of that relationship was the best defense in the country. So whatever happened after the Oregon game was good for everybody. So, but the point is, it was cool to watch Ryan and evolve, but it's also imperative these days for the head coach to be more of the head coach that we saw Ryan Day become over the last 12 months than what he was before, because I can't imagine waking up every morning and sorting through all the stuff that he has to sort through almost every day now, from the transfer portal, NIL, and everything else, and re-recruiting guys over and over and over again. I think it's the modern day is exactly, pardon the expression, has brought on a refreshing new look at Ohio State, and I think he wants to stick with that. I would think he would. Let me put it that way. Anybody misses calling plays, are you kidding me?
I just don't know if it's something. There aren't that many guys left doing it. Really, I mean, it's Kiffin, Sark, Lincoln. There aren't many, and I don't know if you can even. I don't know how you could possibly be at your best doing it now.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure Texas fans think Sark did a good job in the red zone last year, but go ahead.
No, absolutely. So that's what I mean. Like there's so many things to do now as a head coach.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know that those guys are going to be around anymore. Like the old ball coach, head ball coach, Steve Spurrier with the sheet of paper.
Right.
I think that's over. I mean, I don't think you're going to see that type of stuff anymore. I just think the job is much, much more complicated. So we gave some names on offense. Defensively, we talked last week, you and I did. McInerney obviously was praised pretty heavily at the championship.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything on that. You got 3 openings. What is your best guess on timetable for these hires being done?
I think they could happen any day now, but by any day now, that means in the next week or you got to get something going before spring ball, meaning you got to get something going at least a month before spring ball, you would think. The interesting thing is, whoever gets hired as offensive coordinator, for example, they're going to come in, but they're not going to come in with their own thesaurus. Ohio State has its offensive thesaurus, meaning it's the Ohio State offense. You know, they're. It's not like hiring an offensive coordinator, maybe like in the NFL, where he just brings out a whole new book almost sometimes of terms, the way you call things, et cetera, like that. So it'd be more of an acclimation, getting to know the personnel, getting to watch some video, but mainly being there, boots on the ground, watching some guys work out occasionally, but also for the spring, and just really get an eyeball look at some of these players. But I think Ryan could move. Depends on if he's going in-house or out-of-house, right? And that's in-house, for example. You got Tim Walton sitting there. He was the defensive coordinator in the National Football League at a couple of places. He's extremely well respected from a recruiting standpoint, from an inspirational standpoint. What they did in the secondary, when he took over basically the reign of the secondary, how much better the secondary has played. And like I said, Matt Guerrero to me would be, if you want to elevate a youngish guy who clearly has been a disciple of Jim Knowles and knows the Knowles defense, but still might, been sitting there waiting to take it in maybe a little bit different direction. That would be a guy from in-house. Those are two guys you could do from in-house immediately. And
I would just add
and move on
real quick. I know I'm up against it a little bit. I just said, the notion I don't see any scenario how Laurinaitis couldn't do that job.
Right, but
I know he's young. I get it. But everybody's young and find a way. You're talking about a guy. You think about who he learned under. Yeah. And I'm sure he's not. I'm sure it's not in the mix. I understand it. I'm just saying, like, the notion that like Marcus Freeman can go from never being a head coach to being the head coach at Notre Dame. The idea that Ryan Day was never a head coach and became the head coach at Ohio State. The idea that it's beyond the guy who's one of the smartest, most bright minds. I'm not saying this in rebuke of you. Just in general.
With you. I'm with you.
Who the hell? Like, who's smarter than that dude? Yeah. You're telling me, like, he played for Spags, he played for G. Williams, he played for Haycock, he watched Jim Knowles for 2 years. He's young, he's energetic. Like,
a
why
guy who was in the middle,
call a defense?
Yeah, a guy who was in the middle of NFL defenses, who recognized things on the fly, right on down the line. I'm just saying.
Like
look at Lincoln Riley. Somebody took a shot on him, right, as a young guy. No, there's no reason. Age should not be the factor. It's more of, does this guy take us to another level in some form or fashion? What do I see in this guy? When somebody, I'm Ryan Day, when somebody saw something in me, you know what I mean? I felt really good about it. I knew I was ready. I just needed somebody to push my button.
All right. We'll get back to this at 10 o'clock. We had a lot going on over the weekend on the Buckeye basketball side of things, and a brutal injury for the Blue Jackets. We will do that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
Hey guys, Anthony Rothman here. Let's talk about getting you back to your best. If you lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. You need to know your T level, so get tested. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be your answer, and you'll find true experts at Low T Center. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 credit when you refer a new patient. Go to lowtcenter.com to book the appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Get Eco.
ECO. Aaron, I've been thinking.
About what?
About how you invented a way to fix ACs for free.
Get Eco.
ECO. When customers buy a new HVAC system, we give back all the money they paid us to repair their old system.
Yeah, I know. Up to $1,500.
Get Eco.
ECO.
We're basically extending the life of their old system for free.
That's right. Those extra years are free. On me.
Don't you think it would be better if we said those extra years are a plus on us?
Sure, we can say that if you want.
I think it would be better.
Get Eco.
ECO.
We don't want people to forget that you have a silent partner.
Remind me, how did we become partners?
Aaron, we became partners when you let me move into your spare office, and I began giving you free advice instead of paying rent.
Get Eco.
ECO. Oh yeah, now I remember. Best deal I ever made.
I feel that way too.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco. Plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Mark your calendars for Diamond Seller's Wedding Weekend, February 21st and 22nd. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Seller. Wedding Weekend is back with incredible offers you won't want to miss. Join us for buy one, get one half off wedding bands, 20% off diamond anniversary bands, and special no-interest financing on engagement rings. We've had the guaranteed best price for over 78 years. So choose a jeweler you can trust and come see us February 21st and 22nd at Diamond Cellar on Salmo Road or at Easton Town Center.
There's nothing like having Common Man and T-Bone resting on your bosom.
Oh, for someone with no breasts, you've done very well for yourself.
Gross. Pick up the latest T-shirt in the fan store or pick up merch from a show you actually like. We even have Ohio State and jacket stuff. Head to 971thefan.com.
This Black History Month, National University honors those who have broken barriers and paved the way for future generations. If you're a parent and a professional, a dreamer and a doer, NU is here to support you with flexible online classes and career-focused resources, so you can earn your degree while balancing work, family, and everything in between. Visit nu.edu to learn more. That's nu.edu.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches, only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Almost Football Friday. All play and no work.
Sponsored by Tansky Sawmill Toyota.
Your home for football, The Fan. If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie. And once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
Then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Tim Bay in today, Bake in as well. Busy weekend in the sports world. Monumental trade in the NBA, the likes of which it's one of those ones when you see it, you go, wait, what? Are we sure this isn't fake? We'll get into that coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. It is Super Bowl week as well, but we also had the Buckeye basketball team over the weekend at Illinois, and then the Blue Jackets with a couple of games out west before heading, what are they, Buffalo tomorrow, Bake? Do I have that right?
Yes,
Buffalo?
that is correct. Buffalo tomorrow at 7 right here on The Fan.
Let's start there and the reporting from a great friend of the program, Aaron Portzline. Kirill Marchenko with a broken jaw is the reporting from Porty. Similar to what Boone had. Obviously, he had one of those too, Bake. I know this is near and dear to your heart, and obviously that'd be a crushing blow because he's been an absolute stud. But what is kind of the thinking here now with this injury?
So normally with a broken jaw, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks out of the lineup. So if that's the case, you're looking right about the beginning of April here for Kirill to come back. And I think the regular season ends on April 13th. So hopefully the Jackets can get in the playoffs and he's back for that. But the regular season's probably just about gone for Kirill Marchenko, which is a shame because he was having a great season, not only scoring goals but he'd become more of a playmaker this year and more of a defensive guy as well. As we talked about last week, Bo, he's leading the NHL in plus-minus.
Well, the thing that sucks is he just had that ridiculous goal the previous Saturday here to win it against the Kings, and now he goes he's going to be down for a while, according to Porty. And, Tim, you and I know Porty. Porty ain't wrong.
No.
So that's the way that thing goes.
Golly, though, but a foul ball. I mean, that's
all it is. Yeah, a wayward puck. I was talking to Bake
puck
before the show. Tim,
my wayward puck.
Is it strange that it's strange to me that this is 2, and I understand. Bake said this to me before the show. He goes, look, it was hard enough getting them to wear like the eye shields.
Right.
They didn't want to wear those. But it is pretty wild that the rest of their faces are exposed, and they got that flimsy piece of plastic protecting them from a hunk of vulcanized rubber that can reach speeds that are quite fast.
I don't get it. I don't get why they don't wear a full face helmet. In some respect, there's a lot of technology out there that protects these guys. Every time I see something like this, I just go, it doesn't have to be this way. Who are you proving your manhood to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you've got a broken. I'm not singling him out. He's by far not the only player in the National Hockey League, but that thinks this way. But I mean, yes. I mean, boy, after going through a broken jaw, it'll be interesting what he's wearing when he comes back from this for the playoffs. I do think they make the playoffs. What do you think?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think in the big picture, like they go 2-1 on this so far, Bake? Is that where we are on the road trip?
2-1 so far.
So hell of a job already. They'll close it in Buffalo tomorrow. But that's the thing that stinks about the Marchenko thing, because he's such a vital part of what they're going to be,
right?
Big picture. And what I think is so cool about this is now there are going to be some guys coming back. Like Boone's going to be coming back pretty quick, so that'll help. Hopefully Monahan comes back around the outdoor game. Bake, do you have a number on that? It seems like that's right, kind of what they're shooting for.
Probably it sounds like about a week or two after the outdoor game for Monahan. But Igor Chinnikov is skating with the team again, so that's nice too. You could probably plug him in there right where Marchenko was if he's back and healthy.
Watching we had youth basketball over the weekend, which is always an adventure, and we had by the time we had played loser outplay on Sunday, I was able to get home and watch the Buckeye basketball game. And I was there. I got there right around half. Buckeyes up solid, and they extended that lead to start the second. And Devin Royal was pretty much unguardable. He finished with 29, the Pick Central product. There's a play where Illinois is making their run, and it's Junie Mobley who comes around top and catches it coming off of a pick, and Devin Royal had his guy sealed on the block. He had him sealed, and they didn't get it to him, and they took a jump shot instead. And I'm pretty sure it was Mobley, if memory serves, who took it. And he was good. He had 18 in this game. Thornton had 22. Illinois is really good. I get it. But there was an opportunity where Royal had his guy pinned, and you go, get him the ball, get the two. They didn't. Illinois went down to the other game, to the other end, and then it was kind of over. And what we talked about with this Buckeye basketball team now, what Jake Diebler has been able to do to a strength, and then also now a little bit to the detriment, is they've got 4 guys who play a ton, and then they rotate a couple other guys for the other the 5th spot. And so when you see Illinois outscoring you 43-4 from a bench production, that's kind of the way that this team is built. And I do think there is going to be kind of a sense of the one that got away. Here's Jake Diebler on what happened down the stretch in the loss in Champaign.
You know, I thought our guys, we really played well for a majority of the game. Then there was a segment in the second half where, you know, they turned up their defensive pressure, forced us into some shots. We had to have more poise offensively. And then, you know, we talked about guarding the three-point line, but certainly not void of protecting the rim. And we didn't do a good enough job protecting the paint in the second half.
That was a layup line.
Yeah.
It's what it was. It was one after another.
Well, that's one of the things that goes when you get a little tired. I mean, you know, it's just I mean, it only takes half step, man. You know, and you know, and the thing about Mobley, I think we're seeing him grow both in the, you know, you always have growing pains whenever you're growing, right? And I thought that was a growing pain game for him after looking the part at Penn State. But also a grueling schedule, you know, 3 out of the last 4 games on the road and stuff. But the big win, I mean, right on down the line, you knew this team was going to have some ups and downs and some moments where they got to step back and look in the mirror and figure out exactly who they are. But you're right. It does seem to be, you know, the tighter things get, the more intense things get, the fewer guys you go sending into the the fray. You go with the guys you trust. And so that'll be interesting to see what Diebler does heading forward in that regard in terms of playing some depth.
Go ahead, Beck.
I was going to say it's rough when you have 3 guys score all but 10 of your points. That's really tough. I think it hurt them big time, Bo, especially on the defensive side of the ball yesterday, not having Sean Stewart. He wasn't available for the game, and those bigs for Illinois are really good and really athletic, and Njegovan just couldn't keep up, and Bradshaw obviously can't play the whole game, so I think it really hurt them not having Sean Stewart.
Big picture, Devin Royal's ascent this year is something I don't know that anybody thought he'd get here. Like, if you watched him in high school at Pick Central, you knew he was special. You knew his game was kind of built for college, for the college game. It really is, because he's bigger. He can shoot it. He uses his body. He's got great shoulders. This run of play from him is pretty elite in Big Ten play, and it's been kind of there all season long. To the point now he's averaging nearly 15 points, 7.5 boards a game for the Buckeyes. It is not turned down in Big Ten play at all.
There's some nice pieces. There's some nice pieces right there, man. I mean, that's what you have to give up to. I mean, but you're always looking to build that team as the season goes on. And February is the month, man. It's the grind month, So we'll see how they went into this grinder. We'll see how they come out of it.
When the game was over, the thing that followed it was the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the final round. And on a Sunday and a Monday, these just February doldrums, this gray, misty, coldish junk.
Yes.
You turn on Pebble Beach and you just see it. And it was brutal Saturday. It was foggy and rainy and windy at Pebble on Saturday. And that's what you get, Monterey Peninsula. But it was pristine. God, it was gorgeous.
Oh, my goodness.
Transport me there now. It looked perfect.
Oh, and then you throw in there a 350-yard drive by Rory McIlroy, And then later in the evening, I watched on YouTube him showing Grant Horvat, this big-time YouTube golfing sensation guy, how to get more out of his drives by turning his right hip through, and all that. Mm-hmm. I'm just going, boy, Rory McIlroy, getting a win like this early, first time ever for him to win at Pebble Beach. I mean, you just look, hey, is it going to be his year? You know what I mean?
I hope so.
But the beautiful, just unbelievable, pristine conditions. I mean, the wind was hardly blowing, Bo, yesterday there. And, yes, it made you just sit back in your chair and go, wish I was somewhere, and it's not here.
Just like that. That's all you want.
I was in Vegas over the previous weekend. I got to play golf 3 times in 5 days, so I'm not griping, but you've been to Pebble Beach, I'm sure. I've been there, never played. I've been there twice, and wow, just few places on earth like that place.
It's as beautiful as any. It's whatever people tell you about it.
Yeah,
like Monterey Peninsula, Big Sur, Carmel, whatever people tell you, and you say, well, how great can it possibly be? It's better.
Exactly.
It's better than even you think it is.
Yes.
It truly is. All right, second hour of the program coming up next. Austin Ward going to join us at 10:30. At 10 o'clock, coming up next. Was the 2024 Ohio State football team a true one and done? And will teams be built like this going forward? We'll get into that with all of the changes on this staff coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
I need a small order of sheet metal to repair something in the shop. It's not much, but can you help me out?
At Metal Supermarkets, no order is too small.
Wait, really?
Yep.
What about small home projects?
Yep.
For a car I'm working on?
Yep.
Any kind of metal?
Yep.
Cut to size?
Yep.
With no minimum order?
Yep.
How about 1,000 cut pieces of aluminum flat bar?
Yep. Choose from over 8,000 types, shapes, and grades of metal in any quantity you need. And yes, we're serious. Any metal, any size, ready fast. Locally owned on Wilson Road.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. It's time for the Love Your Windows sales event. If you buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, and there's no limit. So if you need 20 windows, you only pay for 10. It's the perfect way to save big while upgrading your home. And that's not all. Universal Windows Direct is offering no interest financing for 3 years. That's 36 months of easy payments with 0% interest. And if you already have a price from another company, Universal Windows Direct will beat it. So you know you're getting the best deal around. Call them today, 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com.
It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. TNCs apply.
Common Man and T-Bone here. Bone, did you know that the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus has over 30 TVs, 2 massive video walls? They even have recliners, a full-service bar and restaurant, a betting counter, and over 30 kiosks?
I did know that, but I also know that you can reserve a table right now at Hollywood Casino Columbus at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook and guarantee your spot and get some game day swag while you do it. Just visit hollywoodcolumbus.com/casino/sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. And everybody's had these pains, these little nicks, these things that you maybe had an injury when you were younger and you thought it went away. And then all of a sudden, as you get old, it starts to creep back. Doing everything, walking up the stairs, doing your favorite activities, golf, skiing, whatever it might be, the summer, the spring, the winter, it hurts. Hey, do not deal with it any longer. the hip, the knee, the shoulder, the back, whatever it is, there's good news. Go to QC Kinetics. Their groundbreaking treatments for that arthritis pain, they're going to make you feel better. The long-term relief, it's now possible. They're right here in Columbus under the leadership of Dr. Ray Tesner, founder of Grant Sport Medicine and a classically trained orthopedic surgeon. Don't wait. Make the call today. My dad and I did. His knee's starting to feel better. My knee feels better. They've got PRP treatments. They can change your life. I'm telling you right now. So go to qckinetics.com/Columbus for your free consultation or give them a call at 380-208-4544. It's not going to go away on its own. They've got 2 offices in Dublin and Gahanna, so check them out.
Hey, it's D. Miller. Guys, let's talk about getting back to your best. If you lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. Don't settle for a standard dosage TRT program. I learned about the personalized treatment at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 credit when you refer a new patient. Go to lowtcenter.com to book an appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Hey, it's Chris Canty. Guys, you don't want to fumble Valentine's Day. You need a solid game plan. Send foolproof flowers from the Books Company and get 25% off your entire purchase. Books flowers are fresh, vibrant, and last way longer. Some are even grown on the side of a volcano. Don't wait. Valentine's Day is February 14th, so get your order in now. Go to Books.com. Use my promo code CANTY for 25% off. That's BOUQS.com, promo code CANTY. Books, promo code CANTY.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. It was a big sports day in Columbus yesterday. The Ohio State Hoops team had an 8-point lead with 7 minutes to go, but they couldn't hold off Illinois on the road, losing 87-79. Freshman Will Riley scored 20 of his 24 in the second half for the Illini. Devin Royal, big game for the Buckeyes. He had 29. The Blue Jackets fell on the road to the Dallas Stars 5-3 last night. The big news, though, coming out of this one is forward Kirill Marchenko suffered a broken jaw. He will miss a significant amount of time. Marchenko was struck by a puck while on the bench. Dante Fabro also left this game and did not return. The OSU women, they got a big win, 66-56 over Washington. They head west now to play number 1 UCLA and number 4 USC this week. This one's sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.9% with a Visa Platinum card at bmifcu.org/Visa.
Are you fired up? Is it Monday? It must be Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And get ready for the big game with Rothman and Ice, live from Radio Row in New Orleans. Catch them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, noon to 3 on The Fan and streaming live on The Fan's YouTube channel. Rothman and Ice, live from Radio Row, is presented by Low T Center. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. All right, second hour of the program. Tim May with me on a Reaction Monday. We spent a great deal of time in the first segment talking about the openings that Ryan Day now has to fill. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, now at Penn State. Offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, now with the Las Vegas Raiders. Offensive line coach Justin Fry, now with the Arizona Cardinals. So that's where he stands on that. It goes back to, Tim, something we talked about right after Ohio State won the national championship. I'm pretty sure I had you on that day. But one of the things that we discussed was the notion of enjoy this one because I don't think you'll see another one like it. Now, I do think you're going to see more national championships at Ohio State. The program's just too good, and I think it's in too much of a healthy spot. But in terms of built this way, where you have really a dream team coaching staff, you have a handful of veterans who could have gone pro who chose not to. You had the Saban leaving Bama, which allowed for you to add elite players at perfect positions of need and all that came with that. And then the recruiting where you land maybe a once in a generational wide receiver. I just don't know, and I hope Buckeye fans kind of really spend some time to drink this thing up because I don't know if you're going to see one built this way again, my friend. I truly don't.
Yeah, the key ingredient there was getting all those guys in some form or fashion. Maybe Jack Sawyer led the charge, Lathan Ransom right on down the line. Those guys that returned to the roster, that's what you're not. That's what's going to be the hardest part of this is retention. But you're right. Nick Saban retiring, Caleb Downs had no intention of leaving Alabama until Nick Saban stepped up to the mic and said, I'm retiring, fellas. And I would like to have seen that, just mentally, even though physically it probably didn't happen, mentally a lot of guys were headed for the exit, in some form or fashion. Clearly, it reshaped that roster. But Seth McLaughlin was already gone, you know what I mean? Became the starting center of Ohio State and the Remington Award winner. But you're exactly right. Right on down the line, it was just a perfect storm of goodness for Ohio State. I mean, getting Carlos Loughlin as the new running backs coach later, when Tony Alford leaves, in the middle of spring ball, and Ryan Day's coaching the running backs for a while. I mean, but then he gets Carlos Loughlin. You could clearly see the impact that guy had on the running back room. I mean, and, who was he working with? Quinshon Judkins, who came from Ole Miss, along with Trayveon Henderson, who had been banged up the last couple of years. We all saw Trayveon Henderson when he could just be the thoroughbred and not the pack mule, totally different running back. And so right on down the line, I agree with you 100%. But teams are going to be made in different ways now. What you have to get used to is the roster turnover in some form or fashion on all the major things. And I really believe one of those is going to be offensive line. We talked about that, I think, the day after the game. I think offensive line, why would you take a 17-year-old when you can take a 20-year-old who has proven himself and build from there? So it's really going to be interesting to watch this develop.
And I think what you mentioned something in the first hour that I think needs to be kind of drilled in a little bit. By winning the national championship, Ryan Day, you talked about that currency, right? The good stuff in the bank.
Right.
Last year was as pressure-packed a football season as we've ever had around here.
Yes.
There was no margin for error. And when there was error, my God, you saw what happened. But they were given a life raft in the term of a 12-team playoff, and then they took full advantage of it and played as good as you've ever seen an Ohio State football team play. But because of that, Ryan can choose to build this differently. If he wants to go younger with these staff hires and try to build something for a long term, he can do that. If he wants to go and maybe follow the same blueprint where he hires ultra experienced guys who he has familiar with, he's got a little bit of reign to be able to do that. One thing that is for sure is that this roster is not going to resemble the one that you had a year ago in terms of returning players. Now, no one's going to feel sorry for you because you have the two best players in college football coming back,
correct,
I think, in Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. And you got probably Julian Sayin under center, who's we've all heard the whispers. But this will be built very differently than this last team was. And I'm curious to see what path Ryan Day takes to build it, Tim, in terms of the staff.
Yeah, I am too, because here's the thing. If you have a hunch that this guy, let's say A, is a rising star in defensive football or offensive football for that matter, if you ever had a chance in your career to take a chance, this would be it, like you just talked about. This time a year ago, he didn't have that chance. I mean, he wasn't sitting in the same kind of situation. And like I said, the word is serendipity, the way things worked out. And like you said, this all-star staff came to the fore was remarkable. But if you're going to take a chance on a guy, now Ohio State, and Ryan Day understands this too, when you recruit players to Ohio State, either through the portal or out of high school, your responsibility to them is to give them the best coaching possible. And he understands that aspect of it too. It's not to build a prototype or an experimental kind of thing. You can't go necessarily that far. But if you feel in your head that this guy's proven something to me, I'm going to take a chance with this. Chance as in an educated chance, just like Ohio State took a chance with Ryan Day, who had been a head coach for 3 games before they made him the head coach of Ohio State. Like Notre Dame took a chance with Marcus Freeman. Same way, those two guys were the national championship game head coaches. That's crazy when you think about it, Bo. I mean, both of their first head coaching jobs were at the places where they were, storied programs where the pressure is constant every day. So it paid off, It paid off for Ohio State, Gene Smith making that call. It paid off for Notre Dame. And so, yes, I mean, and that's why we're sitting here and, it's talk radio because we're doing a lot of talk, right? Because we're not really clear exactly what Ryan has in mind at this moment. He had to have an inkling that these were possibilities. I mean, he knew that Jim Knowles' name was being floated out there by Jim Knowles' representative, the week, I'm sure the week going into the national championship, game against Notre Dame. So he's had time to think about a lot of things. And so we'll see which direction he goes. But the responsibility of the players is paramount in his mind, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'll do right by them. He just has a lot more reign to make that decision than he did a year ago.
Correct.
And he doesn't have to you don't have to make a Chip Kelly hire here.
Right.
He can take a chance on somebody. And one thing that he can do, and there's been several points in my life where I've been in the position to hire people. And one thing that I kind of leaned on when I was in the position to either hire them directly or to help in a hiring process was give me young, smart, and hungry. Give me that.
Yeah.
And we'll figure the rest of it out. Like, give me that. Give me those type of people.
The smart part's the hardest.
Smart's the most important.
Is the most important.
Because young isn't that important.
Yeah.
Just give me smart. If you give me smart, I'll work with the rest of it. So there's a lot of things that have to be sorted out. And I think the absolute the moment and the idea that they hit lightning in a bottle with Chip Kelly and Will Howard the way that they did, that you talk about serendipity, none of that was preordained. That wasn't a thought.
No.
That's not the way that thing was supposed to go, but it worked. Will had some emotional comments to Buckeye Nation. We will have that for you and reflect on his legacy coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And, well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
At NJM Insurance, we like to think of ourselves as a symphony. We start with a foundation of doing the right thing. Then we layer in dedicated reps whose priority is you. Add in excellent discount programs. And last, but certainly not least, we put our policyholders first. And the reason we don't use jingles or mascots is because it's just not us. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hey guys, Anthony Rothman here. Let's talk about getting you back to your best. If you lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. You need to know your T level, so get tested. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be your answer, and you'll find true experts at Low T Center. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 credit when you refer a new patient. Go to lowtcenter.com to book the appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals with savings beyond low prices. Like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You'll find low prices on thousands of items. The yellow and red tags mean you'll save big on sparkling ice water, Kroger brand chips, and so much more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hey guys, it's Timmy Hall, and we are getting ready. You see, this ain't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl. This is Super Bowl 59. So get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is going to be key to hoisting that Lombardi trophy, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Looking at Saquon Barkley on the app now, plus 285 to get 2+ touchdowns. Gotta like that action. Lines and odds are subject to change. But hey, new DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code TheFan971. That's code TheFan971. And new customers will get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, Ohio only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Remember how that little girl in Poltergeist was in the TV?
They're here.
Yeah? Well, she's actually dead now. It's quite sad. Anyway, watch your favorite fan shows on your TV by subscribing to us on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan. Do it now.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
Black history is American history. And when we have honest conversations with our students about our history, the good and the bad, we can pave the way to make a better future for everyone. This Black History Month, let's lift up our students' freedom to learn and come together to celebrate the many people who have shaped our communities.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Have you ever told a friend?
Oh, I'm fine.
When you really felt?
Just so overwhelmed.
Or sent a text?
Can't sleep. Are you awake?
When you couldn't find the words to say?
I'm scared to be alone with my thoughts right now.
Then this is your sign to reach out to the 988 Lifeline for 24/7 free confidential support. You don't have to hide how you feel. Text, call, or chat anytime.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Time now to get a look at that weather report. Today, mostly cloudy, very warm with a high of 61. Tonight, chilly, low 33. A bit more sunshine on your Tuesday, high of 41. And then tracking late day showers on Wednesday, high around 40. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
And we are sponsored by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 75 years. Will Howard with his official goodbye. He was out of eligibility, but put an official goodbye to Buckeye Nation up on his social channels over the weekend. Let's have a listen.
I believe that everything in life happens for a reason and that God has a plan for all of us. And I am eternally grateful that my plan led me here to the Ohio State University. When I first came in here to Ohio State, I had dreams of competing for a national championship, developing as a player, and hopefully going on to the NFL. But little did I know, walking away from this experience, I'd get so much more.
Now, a downfield shot. Touchdown, Ohio State! Will Howard scrambling in here. Howard looking to launch. Right down the middle. Smith is wide.
The faith of the men in the locker room has moved me more than they could even imagine, and has strengthened my faith throughout this whole year and throughout really everyone in the locker room. Through all the dog days of the offseason in the weight room with Coach Mick, we made some unbelievable friendships that I will cherish and I know will last for the rest of our lives. Thank you, Coach Day, for believing in me, and not a lot of others did. Thank you, Coach Kelly, for pushing me to be the best that I can be every single day. You know, I got to give so much credit to those two guys. And Billy Fessler is one of the guys that doesn't get a lot of credit too. He did an unbelievable job developing me this year. And thank you to all the other coaches and staff that helped in my development here at the Ohio State University. And finally, thank you to Buckeye Nation for embracing me from day one. Thank you for taking me in and embracing me as one of your own. I will be a Buckeye for life. OH.
He's damn right about the last part, Tim. He'll be a Buckeye for life. He's not going to buy a He's not going to buy a drink or a dinner in this town for the rest of his life.
Like Uwe von Schaum back in Norman, Oklahoma. I don't think he's paid for a drink since kicking that field goal against Ohio State. But
no, forever.
Dude, go
real
ahead.
quick, let me just lead into this.
Yeah.
At the time that he signed here, and we talked to folks who covered him at Kansas State, and start to look at how he played. I remember looking at how he played in the Texas game at Kansas State, and I always look at like opponents. How did he do? Because obviously K-State does not have like talent to Texas, but how did he do? And he was really good in that game. So you're optimistic. But kind of the feeling around it was he has to be a point guard, and that's it. Don't have to win because of him. And it was almost like if they win, and for some circles it was like they will win in spite of him. And in the end, Tim, they won because of him. And I think his 4 games are as good as Zeke's, truly. And I know that's ridiculous praise. Zeke went over 200 in all 3 of those games. I think Will Howard's play in the playoff is as good as we've ever seen the quarterback position played here. Yep. And if without him, you don't win it.
Yeah. And that's exactly true. I mean, here's the thing. When Ryan Day basically zeroed in on him as the guy last December, one of the things was, he was dynamic as a leader. I mean, you could see that even at Kansas State. I mean, even though they kept having a hard time putting their total faith in him, you could see his dynamism as a leader. But then on top of that, he could run,
Yes.
And is he Lamar Jackson? Absolutely not, But bumbling, stumbling might be the term, but bumbling and stumbling beats falling down or getting sacked, And the bottom line is, but when you put all that together, and then he ended up being a better passer than I think anybody thought he was this time a year ago. He as Ryan Day said when I asked him about this the day after the national championship, he goes, when he gets his feet right, he's as good as anybody, meaning in throwing the ball. You do stuff with the Browns. You understand the quarterback position is a technical exercise as much as it is anything else. And but yes, he had as good a 4-game run as any quarterback in Ohio State history, and he can hang his hat on that, because what really matters is when the chips are out on the table, do you have the cards to win them? And he definitely had the cards to win them. That's a tough analogy I just went through right there in myself. I was bumbling and stumbling. But the bottom line is he delivered, and with accurate passes. I'm telling you, the 2 of the 3 plays that will stand out in my head from this national championship going forward was the screen flip to Trayveon Henderson just before halftime, which I believe was the play of the run. 75 yards later, that play was so well executed, but it started with him having to flip the ball over an oncoming defensive lineman, and then, my goodness, I mean, Chip Kelly can talk about it not being a gutsy call, but the throw to Jeremiah Smith down the right sideline in the championship game, 3rd and 11. Dude, that was as poised. They rushed 6 on that play. Ohio State picked up the blitz like you wouldn't believe, and he dropped the dime in the Coke bottle, as I like to say it. I think he likes that, but he won't admit it, that little term. But the bottom line is, what do you want more from a quarterback than poise in the toughest moments? And he was that way, man. It was crazy.
I noticed it first Penn State week.
Yeah.
And so his leadership was abundantly clear when you were at fall camp.
New offensive line. Are you kidding me?
All of that stuff. But I mean, I think about like coming out of spring. All right, still open competition, but you get to fall camp when we had those open fall camp practices. You're like, okay, yeah, clearly he's the guy. Like it's going to take a while, but he's going to be the guy, and that's it. But then he's finding his way, and then he played his ass off at Oregon.
Yes,
and he ended up a yard and a second short is what it amounts to.
Scapegoat almost in that game.
I agree. And people remember the end of it, but they don't remember everything that led to it. And his stats mirrored Dylan Gabriel's in that game.
Yes.
Pretty much 1 for 1. So you come to Penn State week, and he talked about how much it was personal for him. And for an operation, Tim, that made all of their goals so publicly known, for a quarterback who had no connection to Ohio before getting here, who was a Pennsylvania kid, who Penn State did not offer, was not going to be someone who's going to be in Penn State's mix. For him to say that out loud and say that and make it to me, that resonated. I thought, oh, he's saying, I'm just like you guys. You guys have been slighted. You have not gotten it done in the game, and you haven't been everything that you thought you were going to be in recruiting.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that way too. And then he throws a pick against Penn State, but then he rebounded from it. And then that, to me, set it off. The Michigan game, I just feel like he had to be hurt on that, and maybe that's the way that they called it down the stretch. But what we're going to remember are those 4 games that he played, his absurd accuracy. Everybody said that he's going to throw it to the other team. He's not going to be accurate. Nonsense.
Yeah.
He's wildly accurate. And I'm telling you, in terms of from NFL, I think he's going to do quite well at the combine. It wouldn't surprise me. Maybe he's not the 3rd quarterback off, but he's either 4th or 5th. I think it's very much in play. And I think Ryan's comments about if his right, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah.
All that stuff's going to matter to the NFL over the next month and a half.
That's why, I keep hearkening back to this, but that's why I asked him about it the day after the national championship, because one of the things he wanted to do was improve his NFL stock. He stated it right up front with us when we first got to talk to him about, this time a year ago. And he did that. I mean,
yes.
Now, if you'd taken just the Michigan game as the microcosm, wow, it was everything, maybe that people had doubts about him. But, he got a headbang in that game, and he still came back a couple of plays later and led that one touchdown drive late in the first half. But he was probably not the same guy throughout that game that he had been. And but we saw him, in full flight against Tennessee. Wow, what a start to the playoffs. And from then on, it was like a snowball going downhill. Yeah, did they have a few gaffes during the playoffs? Yeah, but not very many. And just what he proved to himself, I think, as much as anything else, I think he was in search of that. Just give me a chance with a big-time offense. Let's see what I can do. Boy, those 4 playoff games will live forever in Buckeye lore.
I think it's telling in that video that he talked about Ryan and Chip and how much they meant to him and his development.
Yeah.
And he also mentions Billy Fessler, who's a guy who's worked hard in that quarterback room this past year with them. He came here because he wanted to be coached hard. And I wonder, because this is the first time he's really been coached like that, if NFL teams will fall in love with that the way that he adapted to that and got better, and hey, maybe our guys can coach him up even a little better. There's more untapped potential.
Yeah, like I said, he and Chip Kelly were almost as one in the playoffs. Yeah. You could see it. He understood what Chip Kelly was trying to get done. And but the other thing sticks out. I know we got to go, but the other thing sticks out was when I asked Justin Fry about how the lowest of low moments had to be losing Seth McLaughlin in practice that day. And it was a surprise answer to me about what he said was that the guy that really stepped forward, I thought he was going to say, was this lineman, that lineman, that lineman. He said Will Howard. Will Howard understood the gravity of the moment, understood the precarious situation the team was in at that very moment, and stepped up as a leader of the offensive line about giving them, the whatever you want to call it, the confidence to move forward. I mean, that just speaks really to the core of what Will Howard meant to the 2024 Ohio State football team.
He will forever be one of the faces of this run.
Yes.
And that's football immortality is what that is. And
quarterback always is.
Yeah, that's going to last. That'll last forever for him around here. Austin Ward going to join us in 2 minutes. We'll get the latest on where we sit with offensive coordinator, offensive line, defensive coordinator. Austin in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Get your furnace fixed fast. Call Care Heating and Cooling. 1-800-COOLING.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh!
You okay?
Your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants, plus tools to save time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
He knows everything about the Buckeyes. He's been offered tens of dollars by a certain team to spill his secrets. He's told that certain team to go to hell.
Damn you all to hell!
He's Austin Ward.
Sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. More life, more energy.
And he joins on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Bo here, Tim May here, and now Austin Ward. This is a Buckeye football meat sandwich, fellas. Austin, Ryan Day's got his work cut out for him. We're hiring 2 coordinators and an offensive line coach. What was your reaction to Chip going to Vegas and then Justin going to Arizona?
I guess I would say that I was not that surprised with Chip Kelly moving to the NFL, especially once the contract details were revealed by Adam Schefter on Sunday, because no one in college football is going even remotely close to that stratosphere. And I think the real question there was not, like, did Chip Kelly have interest in going back to the NFL? Because from the moment he arrived last year, I think that was always an expectation and a possible, discussion to be had for him. But Justin Fry, I think, is a different situation entirely. He'd not been at that level before and was pretty well compensated as far as offensive line coaches go. And I think, he was getting a significant raise potentially and significant interest from both the Bears and then ultimately the Cardinals. So, when you remove the NIL and the recruiting piece of that, the professional ranks sound a lot more enticing to some of these guys. I know that Justin Fry loved coaching and developing guys at this level. He was really good at it. Some of the criticism that he took throughout the season last year was related to coming up short for 4- and 5-star targets, but I don't think that was through any fault of his own as much as an overall philosophy for Ohio State to not pay, let's say, $2 million for an 18-year-old kid who's not going to play for at least a season or two at Ohio State. So I guess I would say I'm not shocked by either one of those moves, but the one that was more surprising was probably Justin Fry.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Austin, where do you think, not necessarily name-wise, but what direction do you think Ryan's going to go in the offensive line realm of the coach? I mean, we all know there are several candidates you could throw out there from the coordinator standpoint, but it takes a real expert to know who's coaching offensive line well, right? But what direction do you think he's going to go there? Because this is a moment, when you can shape or reshape, right?
Yeah, it is, and I think that it ties in with what you want to do with the offensive coordinator job and
right.
Who's going to be in charge there. And I believe, I don't know how strongly to put it, but I expect that Ryan Hartline is going to get his opportunity here to be the offensive coordinator for Ryan Day. This idea came up 2 years ago. And we spent a lot of time talking about Ryan Hartline getting opportunities to call plays in spring practice, and ultimately Ryan Day. Yeah, we did. And ultimately, Ryan Day kept that role for one more year before deciding it was definitely time to move away from that and landing Bill O'Brien and then Chip Kelly a year ago at this time. But now there's, 2 additional years of experience for Brian Hartline, understanding how to put together game plans, schemes, opportunities to call plays. And I feel like this is probably an opportune moment for Ohio State to find out if Brian Hartline is ready for that and can handle it, because if they don't, eventually somebody else is going to give him an offer and an opportunity to do that. And some of the short-term pain that would then come with turning over the wide receiver room would probably be dramatic and problematic, I think, for Ohio State. So I also think that Hart has earned that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Then if that's what happens, Tim, you probably need a more, veteran, experienced offensive line coach who can maybe manage the run game side of it. I don't know of anyone that Ryan Day has interviewed for that job at this point. I think we know who some of the bigger names are, and, you would look to South Bend there, and Joe Rudolph, I think, would be someone that I know Ohio State fans are aware of and has had success both recruiting and developing at that level. Whether he is the primary, secondary, I don't know where he will stack up in the pecking order for Ryan Day. But, you have a lot of balls to juggle in the air right now with trying to figure out what to do with the, defensive coordinator responsibilities and what hire they want to make there. So, this is going to be a busy week, and that's why Ryan Day said the day after the national championship that everybody is going to come after the staff that wins the title, and it's going to be difficult to keep them all together, and that certainly wound up being the case.
That line you said there in that answer, buddy, I thought was really on point when you said it's probably an opportune time, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think I got it, to find out if Brian Hartline can because it is.
Yes,
Tim and I talked about this in the first hour. Ryan Day has more equity now as the head coach of Ohio State than he's ever had in his tenure here. He can shape this however he wants. There is a little bit of leeway here. You just won the national title. You can have a freshman quarterback. You got the two best players in college football in Downs and Jeremiah, but beyond that, there's going to be a lot of new faces, and obviously the expectations are what they are, but this is one of the rare instances where you can kind of learn on the job at Ohio State a little bit. I mean, I think he's earned that to be able to do this the way he wants, and I think do you think that part is true, and do you think you could see that with both coordinator positions?
I do agree with that wholeheartedly. You paraphrased correctly, Bo. I mean, I think I want to be careful with the way that I phrase this because there is no such thing as rebuilding, and I'm not suggesting that would be what was occurring here. But in terms of the reload, I do think you could zoom out and take a 2-year window to look at this. And, if we're correct and Julian Thayen is going to be the quarterback for Ohio State, you have 2 years for that. You have 2 years for Jeremiah Smith. You have an offensive line that could be together for that period of time. So, primarily when you're looking at the offensive side of the ball, you have an opportunity in some ways to let Brian Hartline grow on the job, in the job, with a long-term view on what that offense could look like, knowing also that, not in terms of play calling, but the passing attack, if you have Ryan Day still around, and if you have Brian Hartline working with wide receivers in some form or fashion, which he would almost certainly keep doing, and you have a lot of confidence in Keenan Bailey and Billy Fester, like the passing game side of that is absolutely going to be fine with that nucleus, no matter how they wind up divvying up the responsibilities, which is why I think, Tim brought up the offensive line coach and what that means for the run game. That puts a different, a different spotlight on getting that one right. But the same goes for the defensive side of the ball. When you have, opportunities here for McCrary and Tim Walton and James Laurinaitis as well to continue to take the next step in their careers. I know that you can make a case either way. Ohio State can hire whoever they want. On the marketplace because they have the resources and the salary and the personnel and the players to get that done. But also, if the program isn't cultivating and developing coaches to get to that level, then they're failing on that front as well. So, you have to give them at some point opportunities to prove that they belong on that same level. And you can't just, I think, expect them to accept, assistant jobs forever because they are high-achieving dudes, every single one of them, and have proven that at every stop or every level of their career. So, I think it's a fine line. And when it comes to this culture stuff, some of it also includes, working with and incubating talent on your staff. That's a good thing as well.
Hey, I was wondering, Austin, do you think Ryan is sitting back looking at this as 3 openings on his staff as opposed to defense coordinator, offensive coordinator, and offensive line coach? And by that, I mean, let's say he went to Guerreri or the Tim Walton, the way I'm not sure James Laurinaitis is being, but you could do some things now, right? I mean, on that side of the ball, but because do you need a quarterback coach along with, let's say Brian Hartline gets the offensive coordinator job? in full. Do you need a quarterback coach now and an offensive line coach, if you follow my drift there?
Yeah, my expectation, and perhaps I'll be proven wrong there, but I mentioned Billy Fessler's name.
Exactly, on purpose.
Yeah. So I think that's, I think that's more likely than not to be the way that they go on the offensive side of the football. And maybe that movement can happen in more rapid fashion than the others. I think that there will still be ongoing conversations defensively because I think that there are folks at the NFL level who could be involved in this job, and Ryan Day doesn't have to rush to finalize. I was certainly on Bo's, talking with Bo at this time a year ago and in December of 2023 saying there needs to be some urgency about these staff moves and getting it done, and Ryan Day was purposely patient, and he was again in the spring with Tony Alford and bringing in Carlos Loughlin. I trust his pace of play here. He's earned that, and also there's nothing that is imminently happening here in February now that the recruiting period has closed. He can take some time to really do what he wants, and as Bo, you said it, he can shape this the way that he wants, and he's got some time here to play with now that the calendar has finally given them at least a slight breather, even though now it's just nothing but coaching talk.
That's exactly right. Great stuff as always, buddy. Appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us a little bit of it today.
Of course. See you guys later.
All right, that's great. Austin Ward, Dotting the I's, the podcast on the Rivals Network on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We had Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on the Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
This is a Daily Show with Coach Jake Diebler, brought to you by Encova Insurance. 87-79 the final. Illinois defeats Ohio State. I know all losses certainly hurt, Jake, but this one, when you consider how well your team had played in the first half, has to sting just because of that, too. Yeah, Paul, they all hurt, certainly. I mean, I thought our guys, we really played well for a majority of the game. Then there's a segment in the second half where, they turned up their defensive pressure, forced us into some shots. We had to have more poise offensively. And then, we talked about guarding the three-point line, but certainly not void of protecting the rim. And we didn't do a good enough job protecting the paint in the second half. All right, we'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
87-79 the final. Illinois defeats Ohio State. When you think about this kind of a game for a freshman like John Mobley, is this one of those where he showed some of what he can do, but it'd also be a great teaching tool, Jake?
Yeah, it's a great teaching tool for all of us. I thought he got sped up offensively there. They forced him inside the three-point line, and, he struggled there at times. And certainly there were some looks he's capable of making, but there were some looks that felt like he needed to pass on and look to get something better for either himself or someone else. And, I thought, we all kind of fell victim to that there for a stretch. We kept talking about it, but we didn't execute kind of those adjustments, as well as we needed to.
Coach, when you talk about that stretch, and you just mentioned John Mobley Jr., for the most part, were you pleased with some of the shot selection? There were times where you got great looks, just didn't get it to go down.
Yeah, some of them were good, Ron. I thought a couple times he played for fouls, and, you know how it is in this league on the road. You can't do that. And then, both he and Bruce at times were rushed in that kind of, I'd say 16 to 8-foot, range. Their defense is built to force you into that, and we talked about when we get there, we'll take some when it's on our terms, but it can't be when they're just kind of forcing us and speeding us up, and I thought we played sped up a little too much.
It's the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind or grab a carryout. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
10 feet tall and bulletproof isn't just a saying, it's a way of life. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
The great Tim May and Bake with me here on a Monday edition. Time for a little thing or not a thing. Hit it, Bake.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
On his podcast, The McShay Show, Todd McShay had this to say about Trayveon Henderson.
Trayveon Henderson, man, he's going early. Like, he might go first round early. Speed, explosiveness, and you want to know what scouts freaking love about this guy? The blocking. And the same thing, I was talking to a director of personnel today, and he was like, the blocking. And I was like, just like Zeke, he's like, exactly. He's like, you know what you're getting. You keep him on the field every single play. He doesn't have to come off the field. You see that speed and the way he cuts. And everyone I talk to, it's the same thing. Going to be a better NFL player than a college player in terms of production and consistency. His best football, he's like kind of getting ready to peak. And teams recognize it. Henderson could be RB2, and there's some buzz like, I don't know, he's getting out of round one.
Thing or not a thing?
Well, it's a great thing for Trayveon Henderson that there's buzz around him. My hunch is that he will do very well at the Combine and on the Ohio State Pro Day. The tape is going to speak for itself. Tim talked about it earlier. That screenplay right before half in the Texas game flipped that game entirely. And I do think that they really saw the forest through the trees with the acquisition of Quinshon Judkins, Tim, because it allowed for a job share.
Yes. I mean, and it did wonders for Trayveon Henderson about what we're talking about right now. My buddy Jeff Snook, man, he was talking about that throughout the season, that this guy was a different-looking player. And, running backs are sort of dime a dozen in the NFL anymore, in a lot of except for the exceptional. And and he brings that instant touchdown. I mean, that speed. You look at him running the run he had against Oregon. I mean, this time he didn't get caught, as he said. I mean, just right on down the line, man. When you can bring lightning, like Saquon Barkley has brought some lightning in the playoffs, you can't. You can put a guy in that position, and he can maybe get 10 or 15 or 20 yards, but when they take it to the house, it's a total different factor, and that's what Trayveon brings. And granted, there are going to be quite a few NFL teams very interested in him on draft day.
It's weapons.
Yes.
The NFL, you need weapons. And so
shock and awe.
Can be tight ends. That's right. Be tight ends. It can be out of the backfield. It can be receivers. You have to have threats and weapons, and Trayveon's a threat and a weapon.
Running backs a dime a dozen if you don't have a Saquon Barkley or a Derrick Henry. Correct. Or a Nick Chubb a couple years ago in his prime.
That's nickel slots, I call them in Vegas. They don't have those anymore, Bo. They used to be my favorite spot.
Yeah, those are easy. Love those.
Caitlyn Clark late last week, she declined an invitation to participate in the NBA's three-point contest during their All-Star weekend. ESPN's Shanae Agumakwe gave her thoughts on First Take.
Caitlyn Clark, in her decision, I not only respect it, but I wholeheartedly support it. You know, a lot of people say that Caitlyn Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness, she and the Indiana Fever accounted for 45% of all the broadcast value of the WNBA last season. She accounted also for helping drive the numbers of merchandising up 500%. Of course, her jersey was #1. And most importantly, I think people look at this and think she said no. That's not the case. She said she wants her first competition to be an Indy at WNBA All-Star, which to me is huge. People don't see the numbers below. Like the economic impact, $36 million she drove to Indianapolis just by showing up as a rookie and making history.
Thing or not a thing?
Well, I'm really happy that she said all of the things that a lot of us have been saying on this. Last summer, I said Caitlyn Clark is Tiger Woods. That's what she is. She's Tiger Woods. Yes. From the standpoint of Tiger Woods was not a spoke on the wheel. He broke the damn wheel. And that's the same thing here. She broke it. She nailed it. We talked about this. Like, we don't have anything. There is no, other than Tiger, Tim, there, from a ratings and interest standpoint, I couldn't think of anything in my sporting life that compares to the impact that Caitlyn Clark had. I really couldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of ratings.
No, you're exactly right. And
then she was great.
And the critics, and then to let her kind of take a beating, you know, like she did in her first year in the WNBA, just to prove herself, so to speak. You know, that's unfortunate. You know, you don't ever want to like bow down, genuflect, you know what I mean, to an incoming talent, but you need to pay them their respect. And if anybody can't see how she is the needle, they're not paying attention. I mean, you know, you even have, well, I'm not going to get into that. I was almost going to sound sexist there, and I want to sound sexist, but the WNBA has always been a little bit of a hard watch for me from the standpoint of, you know, just what am I really looking at here when you come, because you can't help but compare it, you know, apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. But she makes it extremely interesting because, you know, I mean, just the confidence, confidence she plays with is palpable, and it's like fun. She plays like Steph. Correct. She shoots from a place that no one in that league had ever can't
shot
stop
from
me
consistently from. Like that's what Steph did to the NBA, right? Like all of a sudden you had to guard him 35 feet from the rim. Yeah. Well, that's what you have to do with her. And they've had other great shooters, but her ability to shot make is
tough,
extraordinary.
Too. Yeah, she's tough, too. She goes to the hoop. I mean, she sees her teammates.
For sure.
You know, she reminds me a little bit of Michael Jordan, except that she also is big time into the assist aspect of things. And, I mean, I'm talking about on that level. I don't mean she's...
It was like... Yeah. It was really like Steph when he played primarily point guard.
Correct.
And he'd score 30 and then dish out 9 assists. Like
he saw the floor.
That's what she did.
The NBA world was shocked by the big trade over the weekend that sent Luka Doncic to the Lakers and Anthony Davis to the Mavericks. Kevin Durant was asked his thoughts on the trade and the transactional nature of the NBA.
It's always been transactional. The players are held to a different standard of loyalty and commitment to a program. But the organizations don't get held to that same standard from the outside world, either whether it's from media members or fans. And we all should be held to that same standard. Like, it's a transactional game. There's a lot of money involved, a lot of business involved, too. So,
kind of funny to hear Kevin Durant talk about loyalty, but thing or not a thing.
I think what he's saying here, and we'll get into this trade coming up at 11:30 because there's not a whole lot of precedent for it, but I think what he's saying here is, I want it. If you're coming at me because I want to switch teams, come at owners because they trade players, and the reality is that this is a boss-employee relationship. I mean, that's what it is. And in the end, in the final analysis, owners are bosses, players are employees. That's it. And we've gone through the player empowerment era of the NBA, and I heard some people this morning talking about maybe this is the end of that. That being said, if you're Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks are a fine organization, you just got traded to the most glamorous place you can possibly be traded.
Correct.
So I don't know he's going to cry over spilled milk on this one much.
Yeah, he sure jumped on that plane quick and got out there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. He understands this moment. Hey, I want you to explain something real quick, though. This mega contract thing, now all of a sudden he's not eligible for a mega contract. Explain to people who don't understand that, because I know you're a NBA aficionado for some reason.
I'm definitely not at all, not the way I used to be. But the Supermax is only
Supermax, that's it.
Yeah, it's only available for players who have not been traded. So once he's been traded, that Supermax goes away. So it was put in to incentivize teams and incentivize great legendary players to stay with their current teams.
Yeah.
So he's no longer eligible for that. So he will lose $100 million. Now he's still going to get 270 or whatever, and he's make $80 million a year for the next 10 years.
Right.
Probably more. But that money he can't get back. And so that part of it is, part's real. He can't get that part back.
Ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
No, not that part. That part's gone.
Even though, but it's funny because the loyalty, like Kevin Durant was talking about, the loyalty, the basically Dallas got rid of that aspect. I mean, they're the ones who made this deal, not Luka Doncic, right?
No, and that's when we talk about this at 11:30. It's a pretty big referendum on him.
Yeah.
Final hour of the program up next. We'll blitz the weekend, take an early look at Super Bowl 59. It is Super Bowl week. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh!
You okay?
Your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants, plus tools to save time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, HIMS can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Only one football game left this season makes me sad. But watching that last game at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus makes me very happy. Scotty Vegas, and we're throwing a super watch party for the big game February 9th. Reserve your table at HollywoodColumbus.com. Come early for a live sports betting show at 5. Stay for the game with prizes and prop contests. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older to enter. See you at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook for a Super Sunday.
Get it right with help from Right Rug Flooring. Thousands of styles are in stock and ready for next day expert installation. Like carpet starting at $219 a square foot installed with pad. And luxury vinyl starts at only $399 a square foot installed. Unmatched value with 24-month financing available. Visit a showroom or schedule a free in-home estimate today. Get it right with Right Rug Flooring. Your beautiful new floor is right here, right now.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection.
One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place. And aspiring comedian.
That's fun. What's your best joke?
All right, two windows were hanging out side by side. The first window says, "Sure is a hot day." The other one says, "Ah, a talking window."
That's pretty good, Wilson.
Bet you can't top that one.
Well, at Pella, we don't have the talking windows, but we do have the windows your friends will talk about.
Dang it, that's good.
Get the window that Columbus homeowners rate the leading and most trusted at PellaColumbus.com.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Hey, Bobby Carpenter here from Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, announcing our $99 home preventive maintenance checkup. It's getting cold out there. Carpenter and Bryant will do whatever it takes to get you ready for the winter months. Check out Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric at carpentercolumbus.com.
Do your good-looking shoes hurt and you don't want to wear ugly shoes? At the Good Feet store, we can help you wear your heels, boots, and dress shoes again in comfort. Trade in your bad feet for good feet at the Good Feet store.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. The Ohio State basketball team win streak came to an end yesterday with an 87-79 loss to Illinois. The Buckeyes had an 8-point lead with 7 minutes remaining, but a 15-0 run allowed the Illini to take the game over. Will Riley had 24 for Illinois, Devin Royal 29, and Bruce Thornton 22 for OSU. The Blue Jackets lose on the road to the Dallas Stars 5-3 yesterday, but they lose even bigger coming out of this one. Kirill Marchenko suffered a broken jaw and will miss a significant amount of time. Marchenko was struck while he was sitting on the bench. Dante Fabro also left the game for the Jackets and did not return. This one's sponsored by The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Visit The Waterworks online at thewaterworks.com, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The best thing about watching football this weekend, talking football on Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
The Fan. Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Final hour here on a Reaction Monday, and needless to say, my afternoon just got a little bit more interesting. This from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. Breaking news. I'll read the statement. As a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have been shaped me into the man that I am today. While I've loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the highest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I've requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns, signed Myles Garrett. So, Browns fans, that's a nice little Monday for you in the middle of the morning. I think the line that jumps out to me here is, the goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. That was the line that Andrew Berry used in his end-of-the-season press conference in regard to Myles Garrett, that the plan is for Myles to go from Cleveland to Canton, and Myles is saying, actually, no, it's not. My plan is to go win a Super Bowl, and I'm not going to sit here and wait for this thing to be rebuilt. That's the only way that I can translate that, is that he does not like what they must have told him in their postseason interview process, and instead has exercise this right to demand a trade. They don't have to reciprocate on it, but that's the way that it goes. So, shocking, I would imagine incredibly gut punch inducing for Browns fans in that he was drafted number 1 overall. He is headed to Canton. He is certainly a bedrock and a foundational piece. I don't know where they go from here or how they handle this. I don't know if they will have any sort of statement from them on this or not, or if they'll let it just kind of float in the wind. But that is where we stand.
Yeah. At least he didn't say take his talents to South Beach.
Not yet.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What if the Browns don't trade him? What happens?
Well, I guess what would happen you'd follow that line of like holdout stuff, right? Where you have holdouts and it's not about the money for him. He's already compensated richly. My hunch is they were going to redo his contract anyway this season, is that they would redo it and kind of reorganize it a little bit. But this is obviously a very firm stance from him. Bake, you're a Browns fan. Where does this sit with you?
I'm probably in the minority on this, Bo, because I have never been the biggest Myles Garrett guy. And don't get me wrong, he's a great player, but I've never thought watching him that he's a defensive player of the year type player. And I know he won the award, and that's I've just always been such a fan of TJ Watt and the way he plays and how he's on the field every down and he can do multiple things. And Myles is great at getting at the quarterback, which is what you need in today's game. I've just never been as high on Myles Garrett as everyone else. I'm not terribly shaken by this. Now, my belief in this front office and being able to pull off a trade and get equal value out of it or close to equal value is not high. I'm not a huge fan of this front office and the way they've done things. So I don't have faith that they'll be able to make the right move here, I guess. But losing Myles Garrett does not crush me.
So he's far and away, if you follow any of in terms of pass rush win rate, in terms of the amount of time spent double teamed. If you take a look at pressure rate, he's number 1 by 1,000 miles on all that stuff. Like, it's just not close what he does. And there was NFL players last week voted him the defensive player of the year because you have to do stuff against him that you don't have to do, even against TJ and some of the other guys out there who get after it from a pass rush perspective. There's 2 things they can do here. Let's just be real honest. There's 2 things they can do. They can attempt to honor this trade. And will they get like value back? No, they won't. They're not going to get player for player value back. But if they are resetting this thing, they can get a haul for Myles Garrett. So if the last time we had one of these of this level in the NFL, was it Khalil Mack? When he got traded from, was it the Raiders to the Bears?
Yeah. Yes.
Could be.
Is that the last one?
Oh,
all right. In 18.
This ilk. Yeah.
Yeah. First team All-Pro, 2 different positions. In 2018, Mack was traded to the Bears for 2 first-round picks. So it was just 2 ones is what the Bears gave. The Bears gave the Raiders to acquire Khalil Mack. I think Myles is even at a different level than Khalil Mack. So there's 2 ways. You can bunker in and say we're not moving him. He's a foundational piece. We're gonna try and mend this fence with him. Just give us a chance, see what we do in free agency, see what we do at the quarterback position. The other one is honor it and get as big a bounty as you can for him. And that what that looks like, who knows? I mean, I think of like Detroit. You got to think about teams that are Buffalo is another one, pass rusher away, right? Think about Buffalo. That's one that would fit that. Those are the teams that I would think everyone would have an interest in Myles Garrett. The question is who could bring on that salary, who's willing to bring on that salary, who also is willing to give up picks because it's going to take multiple first-round picks to be able to acquire him.
Sure would be nice if you could trade him Buffalo for Josh Allen. Then you'd have something going. Because let's face it.
You said that in jest, Tim, but that's exactly the problem.
I know.
If you don't have Josh Allen, you can run out Myles Garrett and that defense all you want. You're not winning anything.
Right, exactly. And I told you my big line to Nick Bosa one time. I said, man, you guys, you and your brother picked the right positions because in essence, you make two good plays a game, and everybody thinks you just had a hell of a day, right? And the left tackle misses one block, and you know what I mean. And he's had a horrible day, and that's the way it is at this. I mean, number one, I wouldn't let Myles Garrett hold me hostage for sure. If he wants to go, he wants to go, and there are ways you can make up for things on a defense. Not having that guy, it's great to have him, but he's only in there half the time anyway, right? Most of the time. So it's, their focus should be trying to figure out how to get one of the prima donnas, which is a big-time quarterback. And we all know, they don't just float around every day down the river. So
no.
To me, Myles Garrett has more of a chance now if you try to keep him of being a problem in the locker room, because if he doesn't believe in this organization, why should I? You know what I mean? Type thing. If you're in that locker room, and you should, because you're getting paid by this organization. But then past that, we all know it's a lot. It always comes down to more than money, because who takes a beating like that and doesn't really love the game? So I think you move on as quickly as possible, but make sure you leverage things headed toward the draft. I'm not sure when trade deadlines are and things like that are in the NFL. I have to look all that up. But I'd make sure I leverage headed toward this draft and then try to have a killer draft.
All of that is critical.
Because nobody's going to – the Ravens aren't going to give you Lamar Jackson.
No, you're not getting a quarterback.
Garrett.
You're not going to get that. You're going to get picks is what you're going to get. So you're going to have to go to a team that is close, that feels like that has the quarterback already,
right?
That feels like it's the elite edge in the league away from beating Mahomes. So that's why the first thing I said was Buffalo and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
They have everything else. You put Miles opposite Aiden Hutchinson. You put Miles in Buffalo. Those type of circumstances, those are the ones to pay attention to here. Where you look at, even going back to Houston, and you play him with Will Anderson. Right, so you got Will Anderson on one side, Miles on the other. CJ's in year 2, so he's still on a quarterback contract that's manageable. Those are the type of things you got to look for here.
Yes, agreed. Of course, that last big trade with Houston didn't work out so great. But
and probably part of why you're in this spot.
Yes, exactly.
We'll expand upon that. We'll hit the weekend blitz as well coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State Athletics, The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Your husband is pretty handy to have around. He makes the world's best mac and cheese.
Lunch is ready.
He's in the Tickle Monster Hall of Fame. And he can teach anyone how to throw strikes. But a busted pipe and a basement full of water?
Honey, I think we need a plumber.
Is a little out of his league. That's where a homeowner's policy from Shelter Insurance comes in handy. We'll help get your house back in order and your husband back to what he does best.
Find an agent at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Aaron, look what I invented.
Jerry, you're wearing a cape.
Get Eco.
ECO.
What is it that you promise our customers, Aaron?
We come through for you when you need us to.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Do you know who does that, Aaron?
We do?
Superheroes do that, Aaron. Superheroes!
I'm guessing you make capes for everyone?
That's right. Every plumber, electrician, and HVAC technician. But I'm not done, Aaron. I'm not done.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Now I'm inventing jetpacks so we can fly to the rescue like proper superheroes. Now say your line again.
We come through for you when you need us to?
No, say it like this. We come through for you when you need us to.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Jerry.
Yeah, Aaron?
How about we put those capes in the closet until you get the jetpacks perfected?
We'll look right when we take flight.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco. Plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Breaking never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. TNCs apply.
Hey, it's Scotty Vegas. This Sunday is the big game. Don't blame me. This will be much easier if I could say the has finally come. Parties, football, drinks, food, all the festivities we welcome every February. The question is, what if you're trying to lose weight but still enjoy watching the with friends? The answer, nothing. As I've told you before, Awaken 180 is built for real life scenarios. The reason I succeeded, Austin succeeded, and Brandon is now well on his way, the program works. Eat wings and meatballs while watching the have a beverage while betting on the live your life while enjoying the I think you get the point. Whether you're in the weight loss phase or in free lifelong maintenance like me, Awaken 180 won't get in the way of enjoying the big game. Reserve your consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Tracking a very warm day out there today. Mostly cloudy, high of 61. Chilly tonight with a low of 33. Partly cloudy on your Tuesday, high 41. I'm meteorologist Dylan Rebishad with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Join Bobby Mack and Jody Shelley for the Inside Edge, a behind-the-scenes look at all things Blue Jackets.
Wednesday night at 7.
Your home for Jackets hockey, The Fan. Taking the art of sports radio and day drinking to a whole new level. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
If you're just joining us here on a Monday, on what was already a very, very busy Monday, it got more busy. As here in the last 20 minutes, Browns defensive end, reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, has demanded a trade, saying in part, "Well, I've loved calling this city home. My desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I've requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns." Myles Garrett. That line about the goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton, that is directly a line that Andrew Berry used in his postseason press conference regarding Myles Garrett, was that the plan was for Myles to go from Cleveland to Canton. That's Myles putting that right back on the front office, obviously with that comment. You mentioned like it'd be nice if they could trade Lamar, in jest, Lamar for him or something like that.
Yeah.
The reality is that is how they got into this, because what they had the opportunity to do, and other teams were in the same boat, was acquire a generational talent, NFL leading passer at the last time he played a full season in his prime, and the give back for that was huge. It was a bunch of picks. It ended up being a guaranteed contract, and the only reason that Deshaun Watson was ever available is because of the off-field stuff. That's the only reason. Guys like that don't ever become available in the NFL. Franchise quarterbacks don't. Now, what nobody knew, and they didn't know, and the other teams who were willing to give that contract and acquire Deshaun Watson didn't know, is that Deshaun Watson mentally was probably never going to be the same.
Right.
And so there's no way of knowing that. There's no way of knowing if he could handle all that came with everybody knowing everything about his personal life or not. There was no way of knowing it. Could you have vetted that better? Retroactively, I still don't even know how you could have, because you're not really going to know until you know. And then you couple that with all of the injuries that happened to him, and there's no question that they were looking at their roster at the acquisition of Deshaun Watson and saying, this roster is right there.
Right.
But it's not enough to beat Cincinnati. It's not enough to beat Kansas City. We can be a fun little story, but now we got a chance to get a generational quarterback, one of these true franchise quarterbacks. We got to do it because we got Myles in his prime, Nick Chubb in his prime, Denzel Ward in his prime, offensive line in their prime. Well, now, all these years later, what do you have? So the idea that they were going to quickly pivot back to like divisional, that's going to be a tough road to hoe, to say the least. So in a way, and this is me speaking, this isn't pay attention to the scores. In a way, maybe this part was kind of inevitable.
I agree. I think there, hints were dropped. I thought during the season a little bit that this day was coming, but now, like you said, I remember telling Luke Fickell, man, when he got the job at Ohio, the interim job at Ohio State, I said, it's going to be tough. But he said, I gave him some advice, Bo. I said, what you've got to do is you've got to focus forward. You've got to focus on the next day, the next step. I mean, not on what just happened behind you, the train wreck that happened behind you that you escaped. And that's what the Browns need to do. But the Browns maybe, like has been hinted before, I mean, from a front office standpoint and everything else, this is a moment of introspection, I think, and determine whether other changes should be made other than trading Myles Garrett, to the highest bidder, for one of another term. And because we all know franchise quarterbacks don't just fall out of the trees, man. You've got to be lucky in many respects, because Deshaun Watson, everything pointed to the fact that he was maybe going to be that next guy when he got a refreshing new start somewhere. My wife never liked him from the start because of who he was, and that's my wife, who I think was, in retrospect, was right. She's right about a lot of things. Well, I won't get into all that. But
don't give her too much credit.
Yeah, exactly. But Valentine's Day, I'll be overloaded. But but the bottom line is, that's what the Browns. This is a moment. I mean, in franchise history, just like some of these other ones were. But this is clearly maybe not a fork in the road, but definitely a moment where you stop and pause and go, how can you best help your franchise with this opportunity? Because this guy's willing to go. You know what I mean? There's no fight. This guy's willing to go, but everybody else knows that too. So now you're sitting. It's kind of like some people know the cards you've got in your hand, but what's your whole card? It's they know he wants to leave. So that's what makes it tough on you a little bit here when you try to deal this.
It sure seems like that the Browns have been trying to retool this on the fly, but now this almost seems like an end of an era, right? Like if Myles requests this and you have to let him go, you can almost move on from this roster that everybody has said is one of the most talented in the league for the past 5-6 years. It's almost like, okay, we missed our window here with these guys. We've got to start a new window with new guys.
Yeah, if they indeed do trade Myles Garrett and they can't mend that fence, then yes, this would be a new day. This would go, if you think about the drafts that elicited Myles, Denzel, Nick, and Baker Mayfield, you'd be in a situation, and I don't know, I would never want to doubt Nick Chubb, because do that at your own peril, but just the physical limitations of the human body, the notion that he could somehow get back to what he was, I just don't see a scenario how that's it.
Agreed. Tough road.
Very tough road. So you the only one theoretically still happy there, and is potentially still around if they do and trade Myles Garrett, would be Denzel. And so everything else is kind of a start anew. This could have the reverberations for this could be beyond this position too. Joel Bitonio.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to sign back up for more of this, or is he going to retire? That's something to watch on that side of things. We know Joel was kind of weighing that. Your point about the window and missed it, I think is an accurate one. That there was a window of a team that was being built. They felt that there was a hard ceiling on it with Baker Mayfield, so they opted to upgrade. That upgrade didn't pay out, and so now you have to pivot kind of on the fly to a rebuild reset. Diana Rossini with this, one NFL general manager on what a trade for Myles Garrett could look like. Probably a 1+. Can't wait for the it will be 3 1s crowd. Not happening. 1 and a 2, a 1 and a 2 and 3s throwing a player there. That's probably what you're looking at. I've seen Matt Miller, NFL draft scout, saying he wouldn't the Bears could do like 10, 39, and 41 for him, that type of stuff. We're talking about this from just like the sports talk radio side of it. From the human element, I mean, I think of like my kids who are Browns fans.
Yes. Like
telling them Myles Garrett wants a trade. That's a tough sell, man.
Hey, Bo, glad you went there. Corey May, about as stout a Browns fan as there's ever been, just said basically, looks like this is the end of the road for me. That's it. Meaning, and here's the thing, what you'd really like to have Myles Garrett sitting right here in the studio right now and us going, okay, what is, really, what was that moment? What is it that you see that's not there that you're going to be wasting your time for the next maybe several years playing for your ultimate goal, which is trying to get to the Super Bowl and win it? What is it that's missing from this Browns team? And just see it from a defensive player's eyes, what he sees that's given him the impetus now to set up and go, okay, I've had it here. I've still got some years left. I want to go play for a Super Bowl, is what he's saying, just like Tom Brady, left the New England Patriots. What did he do? He made Bruce Arians a household name, right? And it's crazy when you think about it. Bruce Arians, the oldest head coach to win a Super Bowl. The reason, because he was 68 when it happened. The reason is because he got Tom Brady. But what is it that Myles sees as missing from this Browns team? I think it's pretty obvious to everybody, right? But it's boy, when the whole fandom has to look at it, when this guy's in the midst of it all and he's telling you it's not there, folks. Or as Porky Pig said, Diva, that's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Then you have to look at it now, and I think all fans are right now taking a second look, because this guy's been part and parcel of what you've been rooting for these many years.
This from Mike Garafalo of the NFL Network. The Browns have made it clear they're not interested in trading Myles Garrett. I don't expect that to change after this, but Garrett making it clear where he stands.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something you can dig in on. And quite honestly, from a football perspective, and again, I understand because of what I do in the afternoon that sometimes things I say get pushed and spread around as if that there's something
Gospel.
more to it. And this is just, I'm reacting this in live time from 30 minutes ago.
Exactly.
And just from a football perspective, just building a roster football perspective, it's hard to see a scenario where there's anything they could do this offseason that would put them in position to be Super Bowl contenders in the next year or two.
Right.
So with that being said, you are part of a much bigger build than a reshape. This is more of a build than my perspective.
Right.
More of a build than a reshape. And with that being said, part of that build could very well be the net return of trading Myles Garrett. And that don't soften the blow for my kids. Doesn't soften the blow for Corey May, who just want to root for great players, right? They don't. But if you think about Joe Thomas, who was a first ballot Hall of Famer, he played his entire career in Cleveland. They win anything.
Yeah.
And for a lot of that time, they had the best offensive line in football. Multiple times they had the best offensive line in football. Didn't win anything. So in order to build it once right, maybe this is part of it, and I can see that side of it. I understand it's going to be painful for Browns.
And it's a lot like, I'm going to the corner market to buy my fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you would hope it would be, but it's more like I'm going to the corner lot and grow my fruits and vegetables again. You know what I mean? Because
you need to build your own.
Big difference. And but it takes a while, and how much patience do people have? I guess we're going to find out, especially when you get that new dome.
That's it. I think it's, to me, he'll go to a contender. And you think about teams that are close, like people like Chicago, they think they're close. Buffalo. Go ahead, Bake, quick.
I was just going to say it's interesting that Andrew Berry might have to make this trade to get pieces to kickstart a rebuild, and he may not be around to use those pieces.
Still there. That'll be interesting to see how this demand impacts ownership, how it impacts the franchise. If this came out of the blue for them, or if perhaps there was something more to it. It's not lost to me that he used Andrew Berry's words. Like, that's not lost.
Mm-hmm.
So to describe it. So I do think that that's part of it. We will normally we blitz the weekend at 11 o'clock. We will blitz the weekend coming up. A massive trade demand in the NFL, a massive trade in the NBA happened. We will get to all of that and continue to kind of digest this Myles Garrett news coming up next in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan. Bo Bishop here. High Bank Distillery Co. is the most awarded distillery in America at the 2024 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Stop by your local liquor store to grab a bottle, or the 3 restaurant locations in Gahanna, Grandview, or Westerville. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Say yes to Diamond Seller's Wedding Weekend on February 21st and 22nd. Enjoy buy one, get one half off wedding bands, 20% off diamond anniversary bands, and special no-interest financing on engagement rings. Visit us in-store and learn more at diamondseller.com.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh!
You okay?
Your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants, plus tools to save time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
It's almost Football Friday. All play and no work.
Sponsored by Tansky Sawmill Toyota.
Your home for football, The Fan. The perfect show for quarter zips and khaki shorts. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are. And our good friends Rothwood and Ice are headed to the very big game. Live from Radio Row in New Orleans. Catch them Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, noon to 3 on The Fan, streaming live on The Fan's YouTube channel. Rothwood and Ice, live from Radio Row. It's presented by Low T Center. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care. Obviously reacting to the trade demand of Myles Garrett, which happened about a half hour ago. Also a monster trade in the NBA. Let's kind of fold all of this in an attempt to blitz the weekend. Hit it, Bake.
Bishop and Friends present a weekend sports blitz.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, Bake, what did you have this weekend?
I had that it would not be a welcome return to Rupp Arena for Coach Cal. The fans did not receive him very well, and then the play on the court didn't receive him very well either. Or they did. They helped him. They helped him, yes, but that probably did not help in the reaction of the fans welcoming Coach Cal back. I did not... I know Coach Cal won a national championship there, but a lot of times the fans felt like they underperformed, especially come March, and I did not think he would be well received on Saturday.
Tim, what'd you have this week?
I believe I had it when I tuned into the AT&T Pebble Beach or whatever it's called now, and I saw the wind wasn't blowing and the sun was shining. I go, this is a Rory McIlroy day, because we all know he struggles occasionally when he's hitting the ball as hard as he does in poor weather conditions. So I believe I had McIlroy doing what he did yesterday, and it was fun to watch.
I'm going to piggyback off of you, Bake. I had that as well, that would be the coolest atmosphere of the weekend was John Calipari returning to Rupp. If you've not been to Rupp, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's 22,000. It's straight up. They're there 20 minutes before tip. Matt Jones, Kentucky Sports Radio, said that it was full 30 minutes before. Certainly some boos, some cheers as well. Cal came out 4 minutes. Normally it's like 30 seconds before for a head coach. He came out 4 minutes before to shake hands and do all of those things. And then the idea that his team, which does not shoot it worth a damn, had 6 or was it 8 threes at half and then went into Rupp and won. It was an awesome scene, man. One of those plays, if you could have been anywhere on a Saturday night, just the drama that surrounded that one would have been tough to beat. Yep. What didn't you have this weekend, Bake?
I did not have that I would wake up Sunday morning and see the news that Luka Doncic had been traded to the Lakers for AD. Like, I was like, this can't be, right? And the way it was reported at first when I first heard it, that it was a straight up deal. And I was like, there's no way this is straight up. And then obviously you look and there's another team involved in all of that. But man, Luka just led the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. He's 26 years old, and you're giving up on this guy already? That just seems really crazy to me.
Tim?
I did not have how good the NASCAR Clash was going to be at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed. I didn't watch the whole thing. I thoroughly enjoyed snippets because I like to watch all kinds of things all at the same time when I'm watching television. But Chase Elliott with his little move at the end to win it all, I really thoroughly enjoyed that and got me fired up for this coming week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't have the Luka trade. I had to look at it 3 times, and then I saw Sham say, yes, this is real. Oh, really? That's it? And maybe we should have, because this is what the Lakers have done historically as a franchise, whether it's Will Chamberlain of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the trade for the pick that elicits them James Worthy. They did it with Kobe Bryant. They did it with Pau Gasol. Like LeBron James, they always find a way to get a generational guy. But to get a 25-year-old who's one of the 3 best players on the planet, and you're giving up a 32-year-old Anthony Davis who's never played a full, healthy season in Los Angeles. It just seems crazy that they were able to pull this off. And when you talk to people, when you listen to the people talking about this around the league, there's like no precedent for this. You just don't trade guys like this for not now, not in the cover of darkness. They didn't even put him up to be bid on. Like nothing. They like just did the deal with LA. It almost, I don't know, conspiracy theory, you could have it and feel pretty good about yourself.
Hey, did Luka have any say in this at all? I mean, I don't think he does, right? So
no, but he could have said to them, and we don't know this, he could have said, look, I'm going to sign an extension only with the Lakers. Yeah. So that's the only place you can trade me. So he could have done that.
It's funny, Bo, that some of the reasonings you've heard out of this is that the Dallas Mavericks were not happy with his conditioning, and they believe that his conditioning has led to some of these injuries and why he's been out. And if that's the case, why would you trade him for the most injured player in NBA history?
Furthermore, how much will Luka learn just from watching how LeBron takes care of his body? I mean,
see what condition my condition was in.
That's right. Good job to you. Yeah. Player who impressed you this weekend, Bake, who do you got?
For me, it's Devin Royal, especially in the first half yesterday. He was, I think you used the word earlier today, Bo, he was unguardable. And hitting the threes. That's a dimension of his game that we have not seen at the college level yet. You talked about earlier, Bo, if anybody saw this out of him, that being this kind of player, and I kind of did coming out of high school, if he would put the work into it, and he obviously has. What I did not see, though, is what a difference maker he's been rebounding the basketball. He's been really good, and maybe Ohio State's best rebounder so far. If he can continue to develop this three-point shot, man, the next year and a half of Devin Royal is going to be really fun to watch.
That's what you always need, man, that guy you can go to. My player who impressed was Zach Wawrinski with that steal in overtime and then give and take. Who was that he did the give and take with down the ice before putting a biscuit in the basket on Friday night at Utah, Salt Lake City? That was a hell of a play. So Zach Wawrinski, final answer.
I thought Jackson Dart had a really good week at the Senior Bowl, and the more that you hear about who could be quarterback 3, I don't necessarily know that I would take him as a third quarterback, but I thought he had a really good week down there, played good in the game, and has a chance to maybe be the third quarterback off the board in this draft. Jaden Milroe went the opposite way, despite a lot of conversation up in Cleveland that he would be the apple of the Browns' eyes. I don't think that is applicable at all. Player who disappointed, Bake, who disappointed?
Anybody on the Ohio State basketball team not named Devin Royal, Bruce Thornton, or John Mobley Jr.? It was a rough day for the Buckeyes yesterday. Outside of those three chipped in 69 points. The rest of the team had 10. Rough day for Micah Parrish. Obviously, we talked about Ivan Yagovin just wasn't able to hang with those Illinois bigs. So if you weren't one of those three on the Buckeye basketball team, very disappointing.
Just like Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe is a project for anybody who drafts him. Yeah. His upside is quite obvious. His downside is his upside isn't there very often. And I'm just curious on how he does slide as the draft gets closer. Because, man, he can hit all the buttons for you, like in a combine situation or something. Yeah. But, no, man, it's just not there yet.
It's just not accurate.
Correct.
And it's just hard to not be accurate. I love both of these guys, love the family, love everything about, but like Peyton and Eli trying so hard to prop up the Pro Bowl, it falls so flat. Like I didn't watch more than 5 minutes of it just to kind of casually see what they were actually doing. It just is a mess. The whole Pro Bowl weekend's a mess. I'm sure they'll do fine from a rating standpoint, but it's just, and they work so hard to try and make it seem like it's a big deal. And I love them both. I love their sense of humor, but it's just like, this is falling flat, fellas. Don't have this be the hill you die on if you're a Manning. This ain't worth it. Bud Kilmer, honorary coach of the week. Who do you got, Bake?
To me, it's Fred Hoiberg of the Nebraska basketball team. They've had a rough year here. They're 14-8. More importantly, they had a rough stretch here recently. They had a 6-game slide. A couple games they got blown out. Most of them were pretty close, but they've, off of this slide, back-to-back wins over Illinois and Oregon. That gives them 4 top 25 wins this year, tying a school record, the first time they've done that since the 98-99 season. We know those top 25 wins are big come tournament time, and they don't have too tough of a schedule down the stretch here. Nebraska might be able to make a little noise and get into the NCAA tournament.
Mine is J.J. Redick, because he's probably sitting there going, we got who?
Yeah, right.
Boy, if he can get LeBron and Luka to play off each other, man, I think LeBron is willing to do anything, right, to get another championship. Look out.
I agree.
Wow. I mean, I did speaking of Chip Kelly, the plays you can draw up, the things you can scheme up and draw up with those two guys, especially LeBron now doesn't necessarily have to be the guy, even though he was over the weekend in a game. Boy, if you can get him to play along with this can go a long way, fellas.
Well, two of this great facilitators.
Yes.
They just see it so well. Like, they'll elevate everybody around them.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, I don't know how good they'll be in the interim. I don't know either, but I know I wouldn't want to play them.
Some guys learn to play the game. Some guys are born to play the game. You see where I'm going.
I do. Bud Kilmer, honorary coach of the week for me. I understand that when coaches leave, you want to hold them accountable and you want to dislike them and all of this stuff. And certainly with Knowles, I understand it going to Penn State. Not here. I think of Jim Knowles, Chip Kelly, Justin Fry, and a huge appreciation, because that title doesn't happen without all of them. Jim Knowles' defense was one of the best in the country.
Right.
It was the number one defense in the country. What Chip did offensively from a push-the-buttons play-calling standpoint was nothing short of genius. And Justin Fry, shuffling that offensive line as many times as he did and hitting all the right buttons, all three of those guys, beautiful job. Good job. Best of luck to you going forward. But that will not be lost on me that championship's not won without all of their hands all over it. We'll hit 3 things on a Monday coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
This Buckeye Football Impact Report is brought to you locally by Credit Union of Ohio and by Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Ohio State football Impact Report.
With recruiting times changing and portals being very involved with transfers as this signing day comes to a close, a lot on the mind of coaches, especially Ohio State's Ryan Day, as important decisions are made.
There's some that, you have question marks going into the last few hours just because of that. Others, you feel good about here's what it is, and you go from there. It's very different. I think everybody's managing it in different areas. I think there's different, spots for everybody, and I think put together a great class for where we are, and I think the numbers have gone up significantly. And every time you get to a portal or a signing day, you just see the water rising higher. It's just part of the game, and we got to adjust.
This report was brought to you by Safelite Auto Glass. I'm Matt Andrews on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Libman makes a difference. The Libman Mock Crew is a part of our winning team. The Libman Mock Crew makes sure the hardwood is safe and clean for the players every game at the Schottenstein Center. No matter what kind of flooring you have at your home court, Libman has the tools to keep it clean. Our mops, brooms, and brushes are proudly family made in the USA. Visit Libman.com to see our whole lineup and for a store locator. That's Libman.com. Libman, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
I used to love shooting hoops with my dad, who taught me great lessons beyond the game. He was the one who helped me open my first bank account. He told me credit unions take care of you like a teammate and often have the best rates. That's why I've been a Credit Union of Ohio member for 40 plus years.
Make life more affordable at Credit Union of Ohio. With great rates on savings and loans, Credit Union of Ohio has been trusted by families for generations. Visit cuofohio.org to join today. That's cuofohio.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations, in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
They'll offer betting advice, but don't bet on it being good. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Obviously, some big news here in the last hour. Browns defensive end, reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, requesting a trade officially from the team. The team has released some comments via various folks on the beat or NFL beat or even the Browns beat saying that nothing has changed from their perspective. So whether that's just a negotiating ploy that they will not trade him, which is what they have said previously, or if you just say that and then behind closed doors you start working on something. No matter what this is, and this is here's a statement from a Brown spokesperson, would just reiterate what AB has said all offseason. We're not entertaining from him. Nothing has changed. Okay, it's a lot. It's going to be a lot to do.
Hey, it's like a foreman looking down or the boss looking down onto the assembly line floor going, hey, what are those guys? Those guys over in the corner, what are they talking about over there? You know, instead of instead of building cars. Go ahead now.
Absolutely. By the way, you've seen Ford versus Ferrari, right?
Oh, yeah.
How
few
great's
times.
that? So good. Anytime
some of it's
on,
really good. Some of it's really good.
Is some of it off? Like, it's pretty close, right, to historically?
Well, yeah, but I mean, just like in Rudy, Dan Devine wasn't as bad a guy as everybody made him. They made him out to be in that movie, and there were a lot of things that had to happen for Ford to do what they did. But who was the bad guy in the movie? I think that was a consortium of guys. You know what I mean? But bottom line is, it was based on a true story. You know what I mean? So
you can take with that what you will.
Yeah.
Bake, what do we have on the poll today?
The daily fan poll over at 971thefan.com. Which new OSU assistant coaching hire is the most important for Ryan Day to get right? 65% of the people saying the defensive coordinator, 25% offensive coordinator, and then 9% the offensive line coach.
All right, there you go. Tim, how would you have voted on that?
I would have voted defense coordinator because that he has the more autonomy, I think, of anybody he hires from the standpoint of Ryan will leave a lot in his hands, if you follow my drift. Because we all know Ryan, push come to shove, can still coach the offense if he has to do that. But I think all three are very important for this football team.
Yeah, three most important. I would argue important assistant
that's what I argue.
Positions.
Yeah,
you're with me on that. Yeah, and I'm with you. All right, time for three things on a Monday. Hit it.
1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number one for me, we're now into the tournament phase of the youth basketball, so our league's over, our league tournament's over, and so now you go to these communities, and a bunch of teams and a bunch of kids come in, and then you play a bunch of games on Saturday and then Sunday. How you do Saturday determines what your path is like on Sunday, and then as soon as you lose, it's done. So I would just say this. I saw 3 coaches of third-grade basketball receive technical fouls. I saw parents forced to leave because of their yelling at the officials. Mm-hmm. And I always tell this at the start of our season for our parents when I have a parents meeting or anything like that. This is a simple rule to live by in youth sports, and I know it's very difficult for people to actually do, but please listen. Players play, coaches coach, referees enforce the rules, and fans cheer. And if everybody just does that, there'd be much less of all of the bad that happens in youth sports. Yelling at an official as a coach, there's no win in that. Coaching third-grade basketball, what do you think's going to happen, man?
Right.
There's no win in it. Just coach your kids. Coach your kids. That's how to handle it. And same thing with fans. You don't need to yell at the officials. That's not going to make it any better. It's just going to elevate it and make it worse.
I went to my grandson Owen's soccer practice yesterday at the Bo Jackson Center or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And he's out there running around having a great time playing soccer. My 3-year-old grandson, Charlie, comes running up, gives me the biggest hug ever, and then he's back down on the floor with his Holland jersey on, watching videos on my son Kyle's video phone, and I'm just sitting here going, man, is this really, this is the future? Where's your Joe Namath jersey? That's I'm just going, this is right. This is it. Oh my goodness.
This is it, brother.
Yeah.
Guys, my first thing, and I know this is first world problems here, but I got into this habit of, since I've been on the show since the new year, Bo, of taking naps in the afternoon so I can stay up and make sure I watch all of the sports for that night so I could be ready for the show in the morning because we get up early to get in here and do this show. Well, a couple days last week, I did not take a nap, and yesterday I did not take a nap, and it's some of the best sleep at night that I've had in a long time, so I think I'm going to have to scrap this nap routine. I really enjoy the naps, though. I guess I'm just going to have to grow up.
I can't nap.
I can't
it doesn't
either.
work. You can't either, Tim? Yeah.
No.
If I take a nap, then I'm exhausted the rest of the day.
Exactly.
I can't do it. So I just stay up and I do it that way. Number 2 for me, so this did tickle me a little bit. Buddy of mine, coach a lot of youth sports with him. He grew up a Celtics fan. I grew up a Lakers fan. The vitriol we have towards one another from our youth is very real. His kids love Luka Doncic. So the first text I sent at around 6:05 Sunday morning was to him. He had no idea that the trade had happened, and I just said, I cannot wait to see the Lakers gear in your house when your kids demand Luka Doncic jerseys in Lakers purple and gold, because it's coming, brother. Needless to say, expletives were fired back my way.
Yeah. I love it when racing season cranks up, pardon the pun, and because I love all forms of it. But I tolerate NASCAR just so I can watch IndyCar and Formula One, but the weekend got me going.
Yeah, you get a little juice for it. What do you got? Daytona 500 is it 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks. And there's a good chance the NFL may move their calendar back, and now there's going to be a big conundrum there, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. Congratulations to the OSU women. They get the win yesterday. They improved to 20-1 on the year. Just the fourth time in history the OSU women have won 20 of 21 games. And they have a big week. They're traveling to the West Coast. They will take on USC and UCLA. Both those teams ranked number 1 and number 4th, respectively.
All right, real quick. Number 3 for me, my dad is now watching some show on PBS called All Creatures Great and Small, which is based on the book. It's like a British soap opera thing. I didn't see it coming ever. Like normally with the kids, he's got to watch like rodeo and stuff, and he's watching like this. What's
this old house?
Kind of like it's like a soap opera.
Yeah. Mine is Randy knew what was up when he headed into the month of December. Yeah. He did not blink.
No, he did not. That music means that Jake Diebler is coming up next. Rothman and Ice to follow. We're back tomorrow. Thanks as always, Tim. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. This is a Fan Action Update.
Some Super Bowl player special props out there. Any player to record 100 or more receiving yards in the game is minus 155. Each quarterback to record 200 or more passing yards is even money. Any player to set the record in the Super Bowl and score 4 touchdowns is 20-1. And the current betting line for the game is Chiefs minus 1.5. For your Action Update, I'm Scotty Vegas.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336, 800-444-9336, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-9336.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. Split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Finding the right employee for your company is tough. One wrong hire can be a major setback. You're not alone if you face this. A recent survey by Robert Half shows nearly half of hiring managers readily admit to making a bad hire. Luckily, there's a solution. With Robert Half's specialized recruiter's experience, combined with our award-winning AI, you can have the right skilled professional in place quickly. We understand what it takes to build winning teams because at Robert Half, we know talent. Discover how we can help at roberthalf.com/talent.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
To...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh!
You okay?
Your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants, plus tools to save time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending.
So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
To...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Atlas Butler is built to keep you comfortable, and our plumbing services are no exception. You can rely on Atlas Butler for trusted, convenient plumbing and drain service. Our expert plumbers and drain specialists can take care of anything, from a broken water heater to a clogged drain. Call today, get it fixed today. That's our pledge to you.